How's it going, everyone? Today we have a story of a crazy furry who tries to eat this kid in class. I know, no. You heard that right. No. Don't double check your hearing. You heard that 100% correctly. So sit back, relax, subscribe to the channel if you're new. We're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Sammy. Real quick, I do want to say that if you are a furry or like to dress up as animals, look, I don't personally get it, but I have no hate for you. All love, trust me. As long as you don't do what the people in this video do, you're totally cool in my book. Same thing when I made the video on like the crazy dream stand. I don't hate dream stands. I have all the love for you guys, but as long as you don't act like the crazy people in these stories, I like you. So anyways, this all started when one day Sammy was innocently walking down the school hallway. He didn't really think anything of it. I mean, bro was just walking to his hallway in school. Like, it doesn't matter, man. But at the end of the day, Sammy made a huge mistake, apparently. Because Sammy was walking, he wasn't really paying attention, and he bumped into this kid. And this kid, after he bumped into him, turns around. And Sammy was kind of expecting, like, by the aggression on this kid's face and by the way he whipped around, that this kid was going to be like, "Watch where you're going, bro." Or is going to be like, "You want to fight, bro?" Or I don't know, something like that. But instead, the kid growls at him. Like, freaking growls like an animal. And all of a sudden, like, Sammy's just so taken aback. He's like, "What? Bro," and the kid is like growling at him and staring at him and then turns around and runs away. He doesn't walk away. Emphasis on running away. So Sammy is so confused, but honestly doesn't think much of it because he's like, okay, yeah, sure. It's one weird kid who turned around and growled at me when I bumped into him. Who cares? It's really not a big deal. But sure enough, right, Sammy keeps going, and he goes to class, and life is totally normal. Things are totally normal. And honestly, Sammy doesn't even think about, what just happened earlier in the day. He just thinks about, like, the class. He's just going day to day. But that's when, after school, he returns to his locker. And he opens up his locker to grab his backpack when he sees a crumpled up ball, like a crumpled up piece of paper, stuffed in there. It was like obviously folded up but crumpled and pushed through the vents of the locker. So sure enough, Sammy looks at it and thinks like, okay, I don't remember putting this here. Perhaps it fell out of my backpack. Let me open it up to see what it is, just to make sure that I'm not going to throw out or lose something important, like, I don't know, notes from class or something like that. And he opens it up, and in really crude handwriting, in like black Sharpie, it says, "You have disrespected the Wolf Brotherhood. You shall now pay." And Sammy was like, huh? Like, is this some kind of joke? Is this some kind of mistake? And for some reason, once he read that, and once he read Wolf Brotherhood, that immediately made a connection in his brain to the time when, like 3 hours ago, when he bumped into some kid and growled at him. And immediately Sammy's like, all right, there's no way that kid growling at me has any connection to this weird letter. This weird letter is probably just like, I don't know, unrelated or something like that. But Sammy was really just weirded out by this letter, and he just keeps looking at it. It says, "You have disrespected the Wolf Brotherhood?" The Wolf Brotherhood? He's like, what? I'm so confused. Like, what is this? Remember, so Sammy's in 7th grade for context. This isn't like, I don't know, they're adults or something in college, and it's actual a serious thing. Obviously, the Wolf Brotherhood is something corny, but he's like, what on earth could this be? So the next day is Friday, and literally nothing happens that day, except at lunch, one of the kids Sammy asks, like, the people at the table, and is like, I know this is going to be strange, but I got to ask, does anyone know what the Wolf Brotherhood is? And his friend laughs and looks at him and is like, bro, what are you talking about? And everyone kind of just says no, except one kid at the end of the table speaks up and says, hey, I don't know much, but I know a little bit. And Sammy's like, what? He's like, yeah, I think I've heard it thrown around once or twice before. It's not like an official student organization, but it's like some kind of like unofficial club that some kids made or something. I don't really know. And Sammy's like, well, and then he reaches into his backpack and pulls out the now neatly folded letter, and he unfolds it and he shows it all crumpled, and it says, "You have disrespected the Wolf Brotherhood, and you shall now suffer the consequences." Sammy shows this around. He's like, "I received this in my locker yesterday." And everyone around the table is kind of like, sorry, bro, that's really weird. Don't get me wrong. We agree that that's kind of sus, but we know nothing about it. So the next day is Saturday, and it's not school. So Sammy's pretty excited that, it's the weekend, so he decides that he's going to go to the park. And the plan is for him and his friend to go over to the park around 2. And, Sammy, is walks from his house and walks over to the park. And the park has, like, a swing set, a bunch of trees. It has a slide. It has, like, a place for bike racks. It's a really big park, and it's a pretty cool place to hang out. And Sammy looks down at his phone, and he sees a text from his friend saying, "Hey, man, I'm so sorry. I can't make it." And Sammy's like, "Oh, okay, fine, whatever." And that's when Sammy is about to leave when he sees someone sitting on the swing set at the farthest part of the park. So it's a pretty big park, but he can look all the way down there, and he sees someone in a black hoodie. But here is where things get weird. He notices that something is wrong with this person. Something is not usual. What was that thing, you might be asking? Well, Sammy looked closely, and he's looking at it, and he's like, that can't be. That can't be. What did Sammy see exactly? He saw a blue tail, like one of those things you get on Amazon that kids might put on their backs, and they walk around with a fake tail or something, dressing up as a fox or wolf or some kind of animal. And at this point, right, the person gets off the swing and turns around. And Sammy can't see what their face really looks like because they have sunglasses on and they have a black hoodie pulled down. But the person is very clearly walking towards Sammy. Not running towards Sammy, but walking towards Sammy. So Sammy's like, okay, this is very strange. And Sammy turns around and starts walking back to his house. And this is when Sammy starts to feel uncomfortable again because he looks to his left, right? Because now he's walking on the road back to his house. And you know how there's one side of the sidewalk and then the other side of the sidewalk, and then there's a road in between. On the other side of the sidewalk, there's another person in a gray hoodie this time. And Sammy's like, okay, just a coincidence. And that's when Sammy takes a quick glance at the person over on the other side, and he sees this weird pink thing dangling between their legs. Stop being weird in the comments, you guys. Don't say it. Don't say it. It was a tail. Anyways, there's a big furry tail type thing. And at this point, Sammy's like, hell nah, bro. I'm not doing this. This is way too weird. And Sammy starts to power walk. But the thing is, as Sammy starts to walk faster, these guys pick up the pace as well. Sammy's not about to run because he doesn't want to get exhausted or something and then, have to, get caught by these guys because he has no idea what's going on. These also don't look like adult men. They look like kids about his age. And I mean, they have fur tails on, so they're probably not going to be I don't know, CEO of Apple and Microsoft secretly have furry tails on or something. But sure enough, right, Sammy's looking. And he sees these kids. And now at this point, just so you know, the guy in the black hoodie is behind Sammy, pretty significantly far behind, but still behind him, but on his side of the sidewalk. And sure enough, right, Sammy's just oh my God, what, who, why? Who is this? What could this be? And that's when Sammy remembers. That's when Sammy remembers the letter he got and couldn't figure out. He said, yeah, what was it? What was it? Wolf Brotherhood. And he looks over and he's like, I'm pretty sure wolves have tails? Maybe? He's like, you know what? This is way too much of a coincidence. These guys are obviously after me. And then Sammy's like, you know what? I don't actually know if these guys are after me. I'm going to make a sharp turn and then hide. So this was kind of a risky move by Sammy, but he decided that he was going to do it anyways. So Sammy quickly makes a left-hand turn around the corner. So for a brief 30 seconds, both the gray hoodie and the black hoodie wouldn't be able to see him. Instead of continuing to walk, Sammy jumps into someone's yard, jumps into one of their bushes, and hides. But as Sammy's looking out, the gray hoodie and the black hoodie. The gray hoodie crosses the street, and the gray hoodie and the black hoodie both turn the same corner that Sammy was turning. They stop walking, they start looking around, and then they start talking with each other. And Sammy's close enough to hear little fragments of what they're saying. They're saying, blah, 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 Sammy, blah, 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 can't find him, blah, 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 Wolf Brotherhood. So at this point, right, Sammy knows the two things. That one, these kids were following him, and they were after him. And second of all, that they have some relation, if they are not, the Wolf Brotherhood themselves, right? So Sammy is just this is so freaking weird, I don't know what to do. And he waits there, and he's just waiting there until, the guys, eventually they get up and they leave because they can't find Sammy anymore. So Sammy eventually gets out and just walks home as quickly as possible, completely freaked out at this point. completely freaked out. So he walks on home, he gets back home, and he calls up his friend. His friend's like, yo, dude, like, sorry I couldn't make it out of the park. And Sammy's like, probably a good thing. You're not going to believe what I just witnessed. So Sammy tells the story to this kid. And yeah, sure enough, this, Sammy's friend's like, oh my God, like, dude, that's insane. Like, that's not normal. And Sammy's like, bro, I don't know what to do about this. And Sammy's friend's like, man, like, I don't know what to tell you, like, advice-wise. But just be careful, man. Like, just be careful is all I'm trying to say. And he's like, you know what, man? I'm going to start asking around for my friends and see if any of them happen to know anything about, like, I don't know, this fox or wolf cult thing you were telling me about. Like, I don't totally, like, I don't think it's something, but, like, I don't know. I'll ask around. So sure enough, Sammy's friend's now in the case, and he's going to ask around. And Sammy's like, you know what? I'm just going to get my mind off of this. Tomorrow, I'm going to go to the mall and just hang out there. And Sammy felt a little bit safer at the mall than, like, at a random park with no one there, just because, like, other people were there. So the next day, Sammy walks over to the mall, and he's very paranoid walking over. And he's, like, looking over his shoulder. He's kind of looking around, but he plans to meet up with someone at the mall. So Sammy walks over about 5 minutes, and he gets to the mall. He sees his friend out there. They link up, and they start walking around. They walk to different stores or whatever, and they do what you do in the mall. And after a while, Sammy's friend's like, all right, man, I got to go. My mom's here. She's coming to pick me up. And Sammy's like, okay, well, I think I'm going to stay here a little bit longer. So Sammy's friend leaves, gets picked up by his mom, and Sammy walks into a clothing store. In this clothing store, it's really big, it's really wide, and there's a lot of, like, shelves. There's a lot of, like, racks and racks and racks of clothing, and it goes really far back. So Sammy is just, like, kind of, like, sifting through the clothes. He's kind of just looking around. And he's going through, and that's when, all of a sudden, he sees someone. He sees someone next to him who's kind of just standing there, not necessarily doing anything, but someone who's looking at their clothes, looking through clothes or whatever. And that's when he looks. And he looks at this person. And something just feels off, right? They're not, like, approaching him, but they're standing like in the corner of the store looking through clothes. And, he's just like, I gotta look. So sure enough, Sammy takes a peek, and yes, they have a red tail dangling between their legs. Sammy is so freaked out, he immediately turns and power walks out of the store. And he looks behind him, and the person, now in a blue hoodie with the red tail, has turned around and is starting to walk towards him. Sammy is completely freaking out. This is much bigger than he ever expected. And things are only about to get worse from here. Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment furry down below. That'll be the secret word of the day. And if you want to continue supporting the channel or just support the channel in general, just keep watching videos after this one, or at some point, just watch a bunch of videos in a row. Basically, the more videos on my channel that you watch, it gives me more minutes watched. Like, the more minutes you watch, the more it helps me out. And I'm actually genuinely curious what you guys are doing while watching these videos. And a lot of people recently have been telling me that, it helps them go to sleep. And if that's the case, let me just direct you to the playlist section on my channel. It'll help you guys watch videos, like, in a bunch in a row. And just so you know, if you want to submit stories of your own, go to my Instagram. It's in the description. It's Connor Pugs, and there you can submit stories. Make sure you're following me. And also, all these videos, every single video I post will be up on Spotify within 2 to 3 hours after it's posted on here. So if you want to listen to these things on Spotify, if you're, like, working out or you're doing something where you can't have a YouTube video playing, I highly suggest you go to my Spotify linked in the description. Make sure you're subscribed, leave a like, and let's just get back into the story as it's about to get crazy. So Sammy is power walking out of the store, and he's walking as quickly as he can to the mall exit. And that's when, he passes by a store, and he catches a glimpse of someone standing, and sure enough, they have a blue thing dangling. And sure enough, it is a blue tail. So as Sammy passes by someone, he immediately sees, like, someone walk out of a store and starts following him too. And that happens with another and another and another. Now there are 5 whole people that have come out, and they're stalking Sammy at this point. 5 people are walking after Sammy with, these blue or red or whatever tails, in between their legs, and they're walking faster and faster, and they're gaining ground. and it's not looking good for Sammy. Sammy starts dodging around, and he goes into a store, which kind of sounds like a death trap. You're like, why would you go into one exit? But the thing is, he knew that the store was big and complicated, but also there was an exit that didn't turn on the fire alarm. Because a lot of times, if you go into one of these stores and you go out their exit or whatever, it's going to have a fire alarm. But Sammy knew in the way back there's an exit where the fire alarm is disabled, and you could leave it without setting anything off. So Sammy walks into a store, and 30 seconds later, the 5 furry people walk in as well, trying to chase him down. And so sure enough, right after a little while of doing this, Sammy's going through, he's looking around, he finds the exit, he bursts out of it. At this point, he can't keep on, he knows that he has a little window of probably about a minute before they figure out that he left through this exit, or maybe they don't, but maybe they do, right? So Sammy's like, all right, I know what I gotta do. Anyways, right, so at this point, Sammy is gaining some ground or whatever. He's actually getting some distance, and he just starts running. And, he runs and runs. He runs all the way back home, and he gets to his house. His mama's gone for the day or something, so he gets in there, locks the door, runs up to it, makes sure it, goes around to make sure that everything on the first floor is locked, runs all the way up to his room, and just, looks out the window. And it's like, okay, there's no way that those kids saw, I outran them. They're probably still in the mall. They probably have no idea where I am. Yada, yada. I'm totally fine. Things are okay. And in the middle of thinking that, he sees 5 individuals in hoodies and furry tails walking down his street. And he's just thinking to himself, oh my God, there is absolutely no way that this is true. There's no shot that this is actually happening. This is not real life. And he's looking, and these 4 furry guys are walking, and in unison they all turn and they're staring at his window. He immediately ducks down and kind of then after a couple seconds peeks back up, and he just sees these 5 furry guys staring at his house. And he's like, oh my God, this is actually intense. This is one of the most insane thing ever. After about 2 to 3 minutes of them just staring there, they all turn in unison again and walk away. So once again, Sammy gets out his phone, calls up his friend, and is like, dude, I don't think I can do this anymore. I don't think I can deal with this. This is way too insane. And his friend's like, dude, this is so crazy. I was talking to people all last night, telling them your story, trying to figure it out. And only one person said that they heard it was a weird kid club or something, but they didn't know much about it other than that. So the next day comes around, and it's now Monday, and Sammy goes into class. And Sammy's like, you know what? That's fine. I'm safe in school. Things are totally okay. As long as I'm surrounded by people, these weirdos can't come after me in public. So Sammy goes to his locker, and he sees another crumpled up piece of paper, right? And he's like, oh my God, there's no way. And he goes in, and he opens up the piece of paper, and it says, this is only the beginning. Signed for Wolf Brotherhood. And he's like, no, this is only the beginning. Oh my God, these guys are crazy. These guys are insane, man. And sure enough, he's just like, okay. Folds up the letter, puts it in his backpack. He's trying to collect some evidence just in case. And, he goes to his first period class. He is totally tweaking out. He's feeling super weird. He is just stressed out beyond belief. And oh my God, this is where it gets weird. And he's watching, and he sees someone, he sees one of these kids walk into class that he's not really friends with and normally sits in the back. And the kid is wearing a hoodie, right? And this kid is now the first time ever coming into class with a red furry foxtail. And Sammy freezes up because he's like, oh my God, that's one of the kids that was stalking me. This is one of the kids that was stalking me. This is crazy. And the kid sits, literally takes the seat right behind Sammy. And Sammy is so uncomfortable right now. He is so weirded out. He's like, oh my God. This is so scary. This is so crazy. And the teacher starts teaching class. And that's when he feels the furry kid behind him, scoot up a little closer. And then he feels the furry kid. He just feels the vibrations of the kid getting out of his seat and going onto all fours. And he's like, what? Bro, what are you doing? and he turns around, and the furry kid grabs his hand and puts his entire hand into his mouth and bites down. At this point, like, Sammy's like, oh my God. And the teacher, like, kind of yells it out. The teacher looks over, and he sees this kid on all fours chewing on Sammy's hand. Thankfully, he didn't break any skin, because Lord knows this kid has, like, 3,000 diseases in his mouth or whatever, and his saliva would basically be as toxic as a king cobra. But sure enough, right, the teacher's like, Xavier, stop that right now. Let's just call the kid Xavier. And the teacher goes over and basically pulls Xavier off of Sammy. And he's like, what's going on? And Sammy's like, I don't know. This kid just bit me. And, she's like, Sammy, go to the school nurse. And Xavier, like, go to the principal's office. I will be sending up a note to make sure that you make it there and to tell him what you did. And sure enough, right, Sammy goes over to the nurse's office. And they look at his hand and they're like, wow, what happened here? Did, like what's going on? And Sammy had to explain that a crazy furry in class tried to devour him. And the nurse was like, you know what? I'm not going to ask any more clarifying questions. I'm good with just that, like, no offense, but we're going to keep it at that. So the nurse is making sure he doesn't have any wounds, kind of just, like, sanitizes the area anywhere. It's like, do you want any bandages? He's like, no, that's fine. And so anyways, when Sammy's done, he doesn't go back to class. He goes to a room. He goes to, like, some kind of printer, grabs a piece of printer paper, goes in his backpack, takes out a pen, and writes down a note saying, Dear, like, Wolf Brotherhood, I propose a truce. If, like, meet me at the basketball park or the basketball court after school, 5 minutes after school. He takes his letter and he puts it on his locker. And he folds it up a little bit, but he puts it on his locker because he assumes that they're going to go by again. And sure enough, by the time, the bell rings and Sammy goes to his locker, he sees the note is gone. And inside his locker, there's a piece of paper, and he opens it up, and it reads, we will be there at that time. See you then, Wolf Brotherhood, right? So he was like, all right, finally, I'm going to meet these guys. So anyways, right, Sammy is a little nervous, and he walks out to the basketball court, and he sees 5 people in hoodies and tails standing there. And he's like, oh my God, this is actually low-key kind of scary, bro. I'm low-key kind of scared. And sure enough, right, he's like kind of like freaking out. He's kind of sweating a little bit, and he walks over. And he hears, hello there, Sammy. Welcome to the Wolf Brotherhood. Immediately by the sound of this guy's voice, he was no longer scared. And they all take off their hoodies. And, like, some of them have fox ears on. Other of them have, like, super long emo black hair. Like, they're definitely not, like, it's not like Mike Tyson at his prime in the ring. Like, you're okay. Like, I'm definitely not too scared by their appearances. Don't judge a book by its cover, but in this case, yes, do it. So sure enough, the kids are like, it seems that the Wolf Brotherhood has scared you quite well enough, Sammy. And Sammy's like, yeah, you guys are weird, it's really weird. Like, one of your kids, like, tried to bite me. They're like, yes, that was a Wolf Brotherhood performing a wolf bite attack. Sammy's like, yeah, it was really weird. You guys are strange. And they're like, so, you want a truce because you lost to the Wolf Brotherhood. And Sammy in his head is like, okay, these are a bunch of geeks, but, like, they also have literally no life. So if I say no, then they're going to keep stalking me and being weird. And Sammy's like, yeah, I'd like a truce. Like, I don't know why you guys were after me in the first place. And one kid steps up, he's like, I see you don't remember our battle a couple of weeks ago. And Sammy's like, dude, what are you saying? He's like, you don't remember our battle in the hallway? Sammy's like, oh, wait, yeah, you were the kid who I bumped into accidentally, and you were, like, hissing or growling at me. He's like, yeah. We needed revenge for that. He's like, oh, well, it was an accident, man. I'm sorry. And they're like, there are no accidents. Trying to be all like, I don't know, ancient wisdom type deal or something. But they just kind of sounded like cringe. And sure enough, right, Sammy's like, all right, well, I'm sorry. Can there be a truce? And they're like, Council, unite. And the 5 of them kind of like huddle in a circle. Sammy's like, dude, I swear to God, if they come out with some BS or something, they're like, actually, we need $500 from you, and then we'll let you go. Like, trying to do some actual extortion type stuff. But they, eventually, they go back to standing in a row of 5, and they're like, you should be grateful that the Council of the Wolf Brotherhood is so generous. we have granted you immunity in our land. And Sammy's like, wait, your land? And they say, yes, the park, the playground, and the local mall are Wolf Brotherhood territory. You were enemy number 1 for a while, but now you are on the safe travelers list. Have a good day, Sammy. The next day, Sammy's sitting at lunch with his friends, and his friends are dying to know what was happening, because his friend told everybody about what happened. Sammy's like, dude, do I have a story for you? How's it going, everyone? Today we got a crazy story that I know you'll enjoy. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted this story Chris. So anyways, there's this girl in Chris's class who we're just going to call we're going to call her the furry girl, and a little disclaimer. It's totally fine if that's something you like to do. Honestly, at this point, it's not even that big of a deal. Because I know a lot of people in the comment section last time I had like a furry story were like, well, I am one, but I don't act like this. But I don't care if you do this. I really don't care. It's all good for you. As long as you don't do what the furry in this video does, you are totally cool in my book. So yeah, if you're a normal person who just has hobbies like that, I don't care. But if you do what this person does, bro, you're not normal, man, as you will see. Anyways, we're just going to call her Furry Girl. Actually, specifically, we'll just call her Wolf Girl because she has like a wolf outfit or whatever. So anyways, there's this girl in Chris's class who we're going to call Wolf Girl with the disclaimer out of the way. Also, if you know someone who does this, don't be cruel to them for no good reason unless they try and consume the teacher. Okay, that's the exception where I say bullying is good. Don't take me out of context. Anyways, though, so there was the girl, the wolf girl, every single day would come into class with this like tail type thing. Like she'd have a tail clip on, and some people were like, what is that? Like some people they didn't question it outright to her, but Chris's class was actually pretty cool about it. Because it's not the most normal thing ever, but no one blatantly made fun of her to her face, which is pretty good. I think we're definitely moving in the right direction when it comes to that stuff, and I'm very happy to see that no one in Chris's class was just being a jerk for no good reason. But yeah, every single day, this girl would wear this like wolf tail type thing, and no one would really care. And the teacher was also fine with it. The teacher just didn't really care about that because he was like, okay, like it doesn't really affect the learning. It's not so overly distracting. Like they were pretty loose with the dress code. You could kind of wear whatever you wanted unless it had like swear words on the shirt or it said something insane, or there were some instances, but for the most part, the teacher didn't care. The teacher probably would have said something privately if there was a problem, but every single day, there wasn't a problem. However, all of a sudden, right? Well, not all of a sudden. There was a day, where the story really starts, where they had an exam in this class. It was like a midterm. I just had a lot of midterms. That's why I didn't post that much a week ago. And during this midterm, right, it was a pretty big one. It was the first of 2 that they were going to have this year. And, Chris gets in there a little bit early. He sits down. And a little bit later, the wolf girl gets there. And the wolf girl is not wearing her typical wolf tail and clothing. She's wearing a full-on wolf suit. Like she has a big wolf suit, whatever type thing. She came in full dress, bro. She came in the full thing. And here's the thing, right? The teacher didn't totally understand what this was. And normally probably would have been okay with it. And as you will see in later, he actually doesn't really care normally. However, the thing about like the full fur suit, wolf suit, whatever, is that there was a lot of space in it. Like, the wolf girl was basically wearing a wolf helmet and a wolf costume body type thing. And it wasn't super clear if there weren't like notes or something inside. And so the teacher actually pulled her aside as soon as she walked in. And the teacher explained pretty politely like, hey, can you take that stuff off for the test? Because, the teacher was not sure even what that was. And also he was kind of thinking, oh, well, there's a chance that, I don't know, that there's notes inside. You know how some people will like write notes on inside their hoodie or something. And at a minimum, it's like probably a little distracting for a test environment at a minimum, right? But the wolf girl was not very happy with it. The wolf girl was like, this is who I am. You're taking this away from me, which, okay. Yeah, I don't know if I can fully get behind that specifically. But anyways, the wolf girl was not very happy about it, but the teacher was pretty firm. The teacher was pretty cool with everything else. As you will see later on in the story, he didn't care if the girl wore it at a different time. He just wasn't a fan of it during the test, and also because he just didn't understand even what was going on, right? And, eventually they had a little bit of a back and forth. It never got really heated. It's about to get pretty intense later on, but for this time, it didn't get that heated. The wolf girl was kind of just like, oh, no, that's I'm keeping this on. This is part of me. But the teacher was firm enough in his response to be like, no, I'm sorry. It just doesn't work like that. You just can't, because, I don't know. I think the teacher was fine in saying that. So, the wolf girl had to take off her costume. It took about 5 minutes to do so. So the teacher informed her on when she came back in the room, which the test had already started, that, she could have 5 extra minutes if necessary, which the test wasn't supposed to take the whole class period. So that was kind of just a courtesy of I made you go do something for 5 minutes, so you get 5 minutes. So this was a very cool teacher. Good guy. She took the test or whatever, and Chris was like, okay, this is very interesting, but I need to focus on the exam. He took it. Chris ended up doing just fine. Congrats, Chris. You will now have a good job later in life. I'm kidding. It's not always a direct correlation like that, but do well in school, kids, okay? But anyways, it starts to get interesting, though, the next day, because the wolf girl doesn't come into class that day. And I think this was middle school. And to my knowledge, by the way, this was submitted to me to my Instagram DMs. My Instagram's in the description. Please follow me first, so I have a nice big number next to my name, and then DM me the full story. Don't DM me saying, do I want to hear a story? Yes, I do. But I also don't want to individually DM people. I try not to accept the DMs at all. I just read the story and write it down because it clutters up the DMs I have. They're already really cluttered. So the answer is yes, but I can't really respond to you most of the time. What I'm trying to say is just submit stories, right? I was told that it was very, very, very uncommon for anyone to ever skip class. I know that now I'm in college, attendance is not always necessary, especially for lecture-based classes. You're not always there. Sometimes it makes more sense to just learn it on your own and show up for tests and exams. That happens. However, at least for me in middle school, no one ever wasn't there in class unless they called in sick or whatever. And Chris just kind of assumed that, I don't know, the wolf girl was sick. I don't know. That's a fair enough assumption. That's sane enough, right? But anyways, as Chris was leaving the class, this guy who was in the class with him came up to him and was like, dude. And Chris and this guy were kind of friends. They were friendly. They weren't hanging out with each other after class or anything like that. But they knew each other. They were on a first name basis. They had some good conversations when they were group projects. They shared some jokes in that class. But it was still a little weird for him to come up to him pretty intensely, meaning hey dude, you need to listen to what I'm saying. And so sure enough, right, Chris is like, yeah, what's up? And this guy's like, dude, do you know, the wolf girl in our class? And Chris is like, yeah, of course, the one with the tail. And he's like, yeah, you remember what happened yesterday? And Chris is like, yeah, I remember what happened yesterday. She came into class, and she was in that full suit or whatever, and she had to take it off. And the dude's like, yeah, you know why she's not in class today? And Chris was like, I thought she was, sick or something. No one skips ever. And the guy's like, so I happen to know a girl who's either friends with the wolf girl or has a friend, somehow has a connection to her, right? And Chris is like, okay. And they're like, dude, apparently the wolf girl was super mad yesterday when the teacher told her to take off the whatever she was wearing. And Chris was like, okay. And then he's like, oh, dude. And then, apparently she's not sick today. She called in sick, but she faked being sick. Chris is like, okay. And he's like, dude, apparently she's just been doing, like ancient rituals. She's been like doing like voodoo spells on him and black magic spells and satanic curses. She's just been trying to do magic all day to try and curse this teacher. And Chris is like, "What? Like that's insane. Like where did you hear that from? Like that's really weird." And he's like, dude, trust me. Like, I know that sounds insane, but I have a friend who has a friend who's like super close with her. And the wolf girl was texting this girl all day, telling her about all the different spells and stuff that she was trying to put on the teacher. At this point, Chris is like, oh, wow. So, okay, so this is a lot more deep than I thought. What is going on? And this guy's like, dude, I know it's super like, it's super weird. I don't totally get it. But all I'm trying to say is like, you should definitely be in class tomorrow. Because if she comes, she's going to, like, I guarantee you it's going to be entertaining. And Chris is like, damn, all right, like, cool, okay. So the next day comes around, and this is where things really, really get interesting. Or it definitely is where the title of this video doesn't necessarily, not saying it, like, comes true, but no, it does come true. It is where the title really becomes an integral part of the story, which is, you read it right. So anyways, how do we put this right? So anyways, next day, Chris is in class. It only took the teacher about a day to grade the tests. I think it was like multiple choice mostly, so it was pretty easy, but there's a lot of kids in the class. Teachers have a lot to do. Cut them some slack, I found. And so anyways, he's in class. And he is kind of just, he gets there and he's waiting to see if the wolf girl comes. Because, that's going to be interesting. And sure enough, the door opens, and the wolf girl comes. And she's in her full wolf bodysuit or whatever. And Chris is like, oh, like, at first Chris is like, oh, shoot, like, the teacher might have a problem with that. There might be an altercation, like, dang, this is about to get interesting. So the teacher sees the wolf girl and acknowledges the fact, like, looks at her, so he definitely knows that she's in this full-body wolf suit, smiles and says, oh, welcome back, hope you're feeling better. No comment at all about the full wolf suit, right? And it looks like the wolf girl was almost, like, shocked that the teacher wasn't, like, upset with her. It was almost as if she, like, was doing that, wearing that, to make him mad and be, like, prove a point or something, I don't know. And, yeah, the teacher honestly just didn't have an issue with it. I think the teacher just had an issue with the wolf suit before because, like, okay, first of all, it's very new to him. He doesn't know what's going on. But one, he's like, okay, there could definitely be, like, ways to cheat with that. And also, two, low-key distracting for a test. But I guess he just didn't care during class time because I guess he was just waiting for it to be a distraction instead of during a test. He didn't want to risk anything, which I guess makes sense. So the wolf girl was actually kind of confused, like, oh, I guess the teacher isn't going to... I guess the teacher isn't going to care, which, like, okay, that's fine, I guess. So, the wolf girl sits down, and Chris turns to his friend in his class, and his friend, like, looks at him and points, like, takes his phone out of his pocket and points at it, like, frantically. So Chris realized that, okay, like, I should check my phone. Chris very sneakily takes out his phone, because now, like, in college, at least for me, you can low-key have your phone out. There are some classes, some teachers are like, oh, I'll penalize your participation or whatever. But a lot, especially the lecture-based ones, they don't totally care. So, Chris, but in middle school, or at least high school, I forgot exactly when this took place, Chris had to be very sneaky with taking his phone out. And Chris looks down at his phone, and he sees a text from an unknown number. That unknown number happens to be his friend in the class. I guess he either got his number for a group project and just didn't put his contact in or something. And he's like, dude, I heard something crazy. And, sure enough, he's like, okay, what did you hear? And he's like, dude, you're not going to believe it. And, Chris is like very sneakily trying to type because he's not supposed to have his phone out in class. So he's low-key like, bro, I'm not, like, he's like, yeah, okay, just tell me. And that's when Chris receives a text message saying, Wolf Girl is going to try and eat the teacher as revenge. You can only imagine how I reacted when I read this DM, dude. Like, I understand, like, this is crazy or whatever to the person who was actually there. But just imagine how I reacted reading this DM on my Instagram. Like, I've already had a story like this, bro. And then there's another one of these. Are you serious? Anyways, right? So Chris is looking at this. He's like, what is this? He kind of responds like, what does that even mean, dude? And sure enough, right, very soon, Chris never got a text message response. I think the kid just didn't want to like risk getting caught texting or anything. And also I think the kid realized that, Chris would learn pretty quickly what that meant. Like, it wasn't going to be a mystery for very long what he meant by that. So this was the day where the teacher was handing back the tests. So the teacher had a bunch of tests. He was going around. He was handing them back. And eventually he got to the row with the wolf girl. And this is when things got pretty interesting. So the teacher goes up to the wolf girl and takes out the test. And remember, the wolf girl's in a full wolf suit or whatever. And the teacher hands the test, is like handing over the test. The test is in the teacher's hand. And before, the teacher could drop the test on the wolf girl's desk, the wolf girl quickly kind of like lunges her head forward and like engulfs this, like the teacher's hand into her mouth, which is much bigger now because it's in like the wolf suit or whatever. And like, it doesn't have claws or teeth or anything, but bites down and starts to pull. And the teacher's like, yo, okay, I don't know if he's like, yo, but he's like, what? And like the wolf girl pulls him in and starts, how like a dog has like a chew toy and like shakes its head really quickly to try and like, wrestle it around. The wolf girl starts like to shake her head. And remember, the teacher's like, half of the teacher's arm is in her like, her fake wolf stuffed head or whatever, and starts like being whipped around back and forth. And the teacher's like, stop it, Stacy, stop it. Let's pretend her name's Stacy. And the wolf girl's just like, I don't know. I don't know, guys. I know you have questions. I don't have answers. I'm just the messenger. Don't shoot the messenger, okay? And the wolf girl's like, starts whipping his head around or whatever. And eventually, the teacher is able to break free or whatever, and is about to yell at the wolf girl. It's like, Stacy, what are you? And the wolf girl once again lunges out of her seat this time and like bites down on his leg. And he's like, what are you doing? Like pushes her off or whatever. Doesn't destroy her with like a 360 karate chop to the face or something, but like pushes her off and is like, Stacy, like, this behavior is unacceptable. I need you to go to the front office now. Stacy goes on all fours, starts howling at him. There we go. Is like, oh. Why do I live? Just to suffer, bro. What is this story? Anyways, the teacher is just like, this was not covered in grad school. This was not part of the final exam of how to be a teacher, man. What do I do? And at this point, two other kids in the class were actually like, they got up and they kind of like stood with the teacher and they're like, Stacy, we need you to go to the front office. And Stacy's just barking at them like, pop, pop, pop. I don't know why the wolf was barking, but whatever. People get confused. And yeah, so sure enough, like the two kids stood up to kind of like make sure that she didn't like attack him again. And the teacher kind of like phoned the security to come down. And after an insanely tense 2 minutes of like the wolf girl running around barking or whatever, the security guards came in, kind of like escorted her out. And yeah. Let's just say that the rest of the class was extremely awkward, because the teacher tried to continue on like nothing just happened. However, a girl tried to eat him and started barking and howling at him. So it's not like nothing happened, because something definitely did happen. Something definitely did happen. And yeah, let's just say that, when the wolf girl was allowed back in class like a week later, she was not allowed to wear her suit and wasn't even allowed to wear her tail, because the front office is like, we're not going to let you do any of that stuff just because we think you might do that again, And she had to sit in like a very specific seat that was like, you couldn't have one person in front or behind her, and she had to be in a certain part of the classroom. It was a very awkward next couple weeks. Eventually, people kind of just forgot about it, and let's just say that the teacher was instructed to no longer have group projects after that point, just because like they didn't want, you know, Stacy to eat one of the other. But okay, I gotta say it with a straight face. They didn't want Stacy to eat one of the other classmates in her wolf fursuit. There we go. That's the premise of the story. Moral of the story is, I don't really know. I just don't be the antagonist in these stories in real life, please. Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it, do it. Leave a like on this video for nothing. I mean, hey man, I'm being honest at least. What's up guys? Welcome back to a brand new story. And just for 1 second, hear me out. Imagine enjoying your class, paying attention, being with your friends, learning, right? Such a great environment. Well, it was a great environment until a psycho furry out of nowhere decides to try and attack you by sitting on you and crushing you, and you just kind of sit there. And at that very moment, you just question your life. You're just like, why? What? So that's actually the story we have today. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, maybe grab something to eat, get comfortable, and let's just jump right into the story. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Benji. So anyways, there was a furry guy in their class. And first thing I want to say is like there are definitely some furries who watch me, because there have been some in the comments on my other videos. I really don't care what you do. Like, honestly, like, I support you if that's what you want to do, and I genuinely have nothing against you if that's your hobby. If you like dressing up like animals, dude, like, do I get it? No. Do I do it? No. But, like, I don't care. Like, genuinely. However, if you just... this following sentence is very funny. If you decide that you want to go sitting on people to try and crush them, to beat them or something... that's not okay. That's where I draw the line. That's where I draw the damn line, dude. Anyways, though, yeah, so there's a furry guy, and we're going to name him Ben, and he had this furry girlfriend, and at their school, they were allowed to come in full fursuits. I think the teachers and the staff were just like, kids these days, like, we don't understand it. As long as they're not harming other people, we don't really care. So you would see people walking around in class or in the school, maybe with like a tail on, maybe with those like gamer cat ear things. So and like, but a few of them go in full fursuit, which in all fairness was a little distracting in the beginning, but here's the thing. Believe it or not, if someone comes to your class in a fursuit the first time, you will be distracted, but probably by the 100th time, it just becomes normal to you. So Ben, the furry, right, had a furry girlfriend, the only other person in the school that wore like full fursuits or whatever, and also happened to be a girl, so they were, you know, of course, they were in a relationship. And one day, this story all starts one day, when Benji was in the class with both Ben, Benji and Ben. That's a little bit too close. Remember, Ben is the name of the furry. Benji is the name of the subscriber. I really hope I don't mix those up, because that'd be very confusing. But anyways, one day, this all started one day in class. And in this very class, Benji, Ben, and Ben's furry girlfriend were all in the same class. And this all started one day when this was a class of a lot of people, right? There was a lot of people in this class. So Benji got in late this day, so he had to sit in the back of the classroom. Because Ben, the furry, and also his furry girlfriend would always kind of sit in the back of the classroom so that they could, like, make out in their fursuits or... I don't even know, dude. But, yeah, they would do you know what, Benji, he was always sitting in the kind of, like, the middle of the classroom, because that's kind of where his friends were. He wasn't in the far back where the unknown regions where Ben was doing whatever unspeakable things with his furry girlfriend back there. But he also wasn't in the front of the class, because Benji wasn't that type of kid to really sweat class that hard, so he wasn't like grinding super hard. But yeah, today he got in late, so every seat in the middle of the class was full. So he was forced to go to the way back, and he had to sit right next to Ben, the furry, and his girlfriend. Remember, he had no issue with Ben being a furry. You know, he didn't care. You can do what you like. You can dress up as an old Russian woman for all I care about, bro. Like, I seriously do not care. However, PDA is where I draw the line. I said this earlier in one of my other videos. The freshmen at my college, they need to be stopped. We need Rice Gum from 2016 to come back and make a video telling them that they need to be stopped. The PDA is ridiculous. Anyways, so Benji's sitting there, and he sits down. I don't think Benji really knew how much nonsense went on down there. So, like, Ben, the furry, would turn to, is like, while they're sitting in class, Benji's just trying to pay attention, and he hears, "What's good, baby? Wanna pet my tail?" He's like, "What the fuck? Dude, what?" He turns around and he sees Ben, the furry, right? Just like petting his furry girlfriend. Like, Jesus, like, dude. Benji's like, okay, I'm just going to focus on what I'm doing. And that's when Ben, the furry, turns to his furry girlfriend. He's like, "Let me spit in your mouth, baby." And he goes in and he like, with his fursuit head thing on, he like kisses his furry girlfriend in the mouth. Dude, I don't know how this works. I'm reading this Instagram DM where Benji sent me the story. I don't totally get it. I'm just telling the story. And at this point, Benji turns around. He's expecting, right? Benji's expecting to see some kind of nonsense, but when he turns around and sees this, he's just like, hell nah. He's like, what? He kind of like says, yeah. I think like exactly what he says. He's like, yo, but he like says it much louder than he thought. So Benji kind of just had a guttural reaction to this, which, dude, I don't blame the kid. Like, he sees these two guys, like the two fursuits making out and fondling each other and like whispering sexy things into each other's ears. Bro, I might let out a yelp as well. So like, I don't know, Benji's like, bro. I think he's like, yo, or bro, but he says it much louder than he thought, which brought the attention of the teacher. So the teacher, who is kind of focusing on the front of the room and also the whiteboard, turns around and looks to the back of the room, where he just sees these two furry kids going at it in the back. And the teacher is like, "Hey, you two," and he points to the two furry kids in the back like, "What are you doing in my class right now? That is so disrespectful. Get up to the front." And the two of them walk up in their fursuits, right? And he's like yelling at both of them like, "Don't do any of that. If I see you two doing anything like that again, you're going to the front office. Now go back there." So yeah, the teacher low-key kind of publicly humiliated them instead of just telling them to knock it off. I think the teacher was having a tough day anyways. But Benji felt a little bad, because he didn't think Ben was a bad dude. He didn't really have any interactions with him. But, you know, Ben the furry and his furry girlfriend walked all the way back, and Ben sat down next to him. And after about 30 seconds, Benji went back to paying attention, but that's when he felt a tap on his shoulder. So he turns his head to see that Ben the furry is looking at him in his furry suit. It's kind of like, it's low-key kind of like distracting, or it's kind of like unnerving, I should say, because you just have this like dude in a furry suit just looking at you, right? He's just staring you down. He's staring into the depths of your soul. And Benji kind of looks at him. He's like, and Ben's like, you're gonna pay for what you did, buddy. And Benji's like, what? And Ben's like, yeah, you ratted us out. You know what happens to snitches, buddy. And remember, he's hearing this through, like, the muffle fursuit head, right? So it's very weird. Benji's like, dude, it was an accident. I was just really startled to see what I saw. And, you know, Ben's like, that's too bad, because snitches get stitches. And, like, Benji really didn't even know, like, where he was going with this. So Benji's like, sorry, man. Like, I swear it wasn't like that. And the furry dude's like, well, either way, man, you're going to pay for what you did. And he turns back around. And Benji's like, all right, a little note to self. Ben is not cool. This guy is freaking weird. The furry guy, yeah, turns out he was not as okay as I thought he was. Good to know. This is something that I will remember later. But the thing is, Benji doesn't really think that anything's going to happen. So he walks out of class. And he's kind of thinking, okay, well, if the furry guy is going to come after me, he's going to come after me right out of class. Right? But no, the Ben the furry actually walks the other way with his furry girlfriend, and Benji thinks that that's it, that they're done, and that there's going to be no altercation, no issues, no problems, no nothing, right? So Benji's actually kind of excited at this point, and that's when Benji goes to lunch. And Benji goes to lunch after another class. So the one where he has the Ben the furry in it, there's a class after that, and then after the second class, he goes to lunch. So a little bit of time has passed since the whole ordeal happens when Benji sits down at his lunch table, and the friend of Benji's lunch table is like, dude, did you hear? And Benji's like, dude, what? He's like, it's about you. And Benji's like, what? Like, I didn't do anything. Because, like, Benji genuinely had not had, there was no reason, Benji thought, that he would be, like, in the news of, like, people talking around, right? He's like, I'm not dating anyone. I'm not shooting my shot with anyone. I didn't get in a fight with anyone. I didn't get caught cheating or anything like that. Like, why would people be talking about me like that? It makes no sense. And his friend's like, dude, like, you know that, like, Ben, the furry guy? And Benji's just like, oh my God, what? He's been telling people that he's going to dominate you and show that, like, you can't be disrespecting him by, like, sitting on you. And Benji's like, bro, what? Real quick, if you made it this far into the video, comment Ben down below. Secret word of the day will be Ben. I'll try to heart a bunch of comments to say that. I don't know how busy I will be tomorrow when this video goes up. So don't feel bad if you don't get a heart, but I will try and heart as many as I possibly can. Also, the best way to support the channel is just to sit down and binge watch a bunch of old videos. I think I have a playlist linked in the top comment. So after you're done watching this video, you can just click the link and you can go to that playlist. It has all of my videos. Hey, if you do watch that playlist or you binge watch my old videos or whatever, please let me know in the comments so that I can say thank you, because I try and get to as many comments as I can. I just want to say thank you for you guys supporting the channel recently. You guys binge watching the videos helps out even more than you can imagine. Anyways, let's get back to the story. So a little recap, right? Benji's sitting at the table when he learns the news that Ben, the furry, wants to show that he can't be disrespected. And the way that Ben the furry is going to show that Benji won't get away with disrespecting him is by crushing him into dominance. What the hell, dude? What the hell? Yeah, so he's gonna, like, crush him by sitting on him. Because I don't know. Dude, I don't know. Don't go in the comments. Do not go in the comments and ask me why. Because you know what? You're not getting an answer from me, dude. Because I don't know either. I'm just the storyteller. Don't shoot the messenger, baby, okay? Please? All right? Anyways, so Benji's pretty confused at this point. I mean, understandably, I'd be pretty confused as well. And he's just like, hey, yo, bro, what? And he turns to his friend. His friend's like, dude, like, I don't have any, like, I don't know anything that you don't know. I can't explain it. And Benji's just so weirded out. So the next day, he's like, okay, I gotta be early for class. I gotta be early for class. He has 10 minutes in between his classes, right? But he just feels, he feels it in his stomach. He's like, no, dude. Benji's got to go to the bathroom. He's got to go, and unfortunately, he doesn't have to go number 1. That's pretty quick and simple. He has to go number 2, and he has no idea how long it's going to take him. So he does his business, and there's like 30 seconds to get to class before class starts. And class is all the way at the other side of the school. So Benji already knows that he's going to be like 1 minute late. So Benji books it there, and sure enough, the only seat that's available is in the back near the furry guy, near Ben. However, there are a few seats in the back, so Benji does not sit directly next to him. But when Benji sits down, Ben the furry gets up and then moves right to the seat next to him. And Benji's like, dude, no, come on. Oh my, bro, you gotta be, bro, please. Yeah, so anyways, right, Benji or Ben the furry whispers to him, like, you shouldn't have disrespected me yesterday. When the time is right, you're gonna pay for it. And Benji's like, dude, I heard people were saying you wanted to sit on me to show dominance. And Ben the furry gives out one of those, like, ha ha ha. He gives out, like, one of those, like, very fake, but, like, one of those anime villain laughs or whatever. It was, like, very cringe, right? It's very awkward and forced and staged. He's like, ha ha ha, you know what I'm gonna do to you now. And Benji's just like, bro, could you please not do that? Totally fair reaction. I think if I heard that someone or a furry man was gonna come and try and assert his dominance on me by sitting on my face, I would say, dude, please, like, I'll give you $5 if you don't. Like, bro, seriously. I would really love it if you didn't do that. Like, I think it would be super epic and awesome if you did not sit on me. Dude, please. Yeah, so anyways, Benji said that, and Ben was like, basically, no. And Ben informs him, when you think, like, when you least expect it, it shall come, which basically meant his furry butt on his face. This is the most stupidest story I've ever received, but I'm sorry. I have to tell it. I have to keep the people entertained, even if it drives me insane a little bit. So leave a like for my sanity. Anyways, yeah, so Benji's a little just like, oh my God. So he like very carefully makes sure that he's never in a position where like, he could be easily sat on, which what does that even mean? I don't know. Weeks go by. I'm not even kidding you. Weeks go by every single day, no matter where no matter where Benji sits, somehow Ben the furry sits at least near him. Maybe not directly next to him, but at least near him. And I swear to God, 2 weeks later, when Benji has completely forgotten about this whole ordeal, or at least it's in the back of his mind, look, if someone comes up to you and threatens to sit on you to assert dominance, I don't think that's ever going to be something that you'll just like forget or something like that. I think that that'll be something that will stick with you for all the wrong reasons for the rest of your life. However, it wasn't something that was a top priority for Benji. It wasn't in the top of his head or like the front of his mind or whatever. So one fateful day, 2 weeks later, Benji drops him his pencil. So of course, as anyone would do, Benji reaches down to grab his pencil. And that's when he feels a whoosh of air. That whoosh of air came from the furry kid, Ben, jumping super quickly out of his chair, leaps on top of Benji, and that's when Benji feels this big thud on his back as he collapses to the floor. And that's when he can hear, like, everyone looking. Dude, he can hear everybody looking at him. He can't see everyone looking at him because he's on the floor. He can freaking hear it. And he hears the teacher say, Ben, what on earth? And yeah, so at this point, Benji, like, is able to kind of, like, brush him off or whatever, and Ben flops over, and Ben is screaming, yes, yes, my dominance has been asserted. Get sat on, you pleb. That's a quote, by the way. Yes, yes, my dominance was asserted. Get sat on, you pleb. That was a quote that I received. No, that was not. Look, I do a lot of ad-libbing in these stories because I got to fill in the details because I'm not given 10,000 pages of information. I have to fill in the details where it makes sense. And I ad-lib all the time, right? That was not an ad-lib. That was a quotation. Yeah, I'm just going to let that sink in. Anyways, yeah, the teacher's like freaking out or whatever. Benji's obviously not the happiest camper right now. And at this point, the only person who's super happy is Ben, the furry dude, because he's just like, yes, my dominance was asserted. I sat on him. And I think for some reason he thought that everyone else was going to like immediately bow down and be like, oh, you're our master now because you sat on Benji. What the fuck? Dude, what? Yeah, but anyways, instead of becoming king of the plebs in Ben's mind, that's what was going to happen. He instead became king of the kids being sent to the office for sitting on other kids and distracting the class. Yeah, so the teacher came over, basically said like, Ben, like, you go to the front office right now. I'm going to call up and say what you did. Like, I'm going to try and explain it. Like, just go to the front office. You're in trouble. Get out of here. And then he reaches over to Benji and he's like, did you have any part of this? And Benji's like, not willingly, basically saying like, because I guess the teacher was just seeing if this was some kind of practical joke that they were both pulling or something. And the teacher's like, all right, then. So this obviously, I didn't think that you wanted that or whatever just happened. I don't even know, man. But I just wanted to make sure it wasn't a joke or something. And Benji's like, no, like that kid like was mad at me because like when like, do you remember a couple weeks ago when you called like him and his girlfriend out for like making out in the back of the class? He thinks that I told you to do that or something. And the teacher's like, dude, what? And Ben's like, I don't know. Or Benji's like, I don't know, man. So he's been mad at me, telling everyone that he's going to sit on me to assert his dominance or something crazy. And yeah, looks like I forgot. And I leaned down to get my pencil and, I mean, I guess the rest history, man. The rest is history. And the teacher's like, all right, well, that kid's like, Ben's eventually going to have to come back to the classroom. I'll make sure that you guys are sitting in separate corners of the room so that this doesn't happen again. And also just like, if this is happening, just let me know. So yeah, I'm sorry, bro. Basically the teacher's like, I'm sorry, man, that this had to happen to you. Moral of the story is, I don't know, man. Like, don't sit on people.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.
From a furry trying to eat me in class to a furry fighting the teacher, these are the craziest furry stories of all time. And one of these furries tries to eat the teacher as well, and it got super weird, and yeah. So there was a furry in the first subscribers class, and just a little disclaimer that I have to do. I think it's obvious if you watch my other videos, but I have nothing against Minecraft kids, furries, whoever like I make videos on, right? As long as you don't act the way, or emo kids, right? As long as you don't act as the kids in these videos do, then you're totally cool in my book. If this is just something you like to do, then we're totally fine. Nothing against you. As long as you don't act like these people. Anyways, there was a furry in the subscribers class, and no one really cared that much, right? No one really, they were surprisingly, like, no one was really that mean to them, which I definitely do not encourage. Like, you cannot be doing that. Just because someone enjoys something doesn't mean you have the right to be mean to them. But, in a lot of cases, in high school, like, kids will definitely pick on people who are different. And, for a good news is the furry, no one really cared. They kind of let him live the way he wanted to live, which is cool. However, right, it all went south one day when the subscriber was sitting in class next to the furry. And the furry kid, like, look, he's not in a fursuit or anything, but he was doing some wolf howls. And this was like before class or whatever. So he wasn't interrupting the class or anything. And, the subscriber kind of looks over at him, and the wolf kid, I'm just going to call him Wolf Kid for this one to be specific. And Wolf Kid looks over at him and does another howl wolf, like a wolf howl right at him. And sure enough, the subscriber is kind of just looking at him. Is like, okay, that's cool. And the teacher starts class, and the subscriber is just in class, paying attention, or maybe not paying attention. I don't know. But either way, he's trying to pay attention. And that's when he gets a tap on his shoulder. So he turns around and he sees the wolf kid looking at him. And he's like, hello. And he's like, I just wanted to let you know that my wolf instincts are telling me that I'm hungry. And at this point, the subscriber's probably just thinking to himself, wolf instincts? Don't you mean normal person instincts? I'm pretty sure that's how it works. But either way, the subscriber's like, okay, man, cool. And that's when, like, he goes back, he turns around, and he looks back at the front of the class. And that's when he gets another tap on his back. And he's like, okay, what is it now? And he looks over, and sure enough, the wolf kid is looking at him again and tapped him on the back again. So the subscriber's a little confused, like, why are you still tapping me on my back? That's a little weird. And the wolf kid is like, hey. And the subscriber's like, yeah, what's up? And he's like, hey, I just wanted to let you know that my wolf instincts are telling me that you look very tasty. And the subscriber's just like, bro, what? What do you mean? And he kind of looks at him, and the subscriber doesn't say anything back because I don't know about you, but I don't know how I would have responded to someone saying, oh, you look tasty, by the way. Like, bro, pause. But anyways, right? Sure enough, the subscriber's kind of just like, thank you, I think. And, the wolf kid's like, oh, you're welcome. Don't worry about it. And then they go back to whatever. At this point, right, the subscriber didn't feel weird when the kid was like, oh, my wolf instincts are saying I'm hungry because, the kid's just saying he's hungry. There's nothing weird with that. But when the wolf kid says, you look tasty after saying I'm hungry, that's just kind of weird, man. I'm not going to lie. Like, there's no real way to justify that without it being like, yeah, that's a little strange. Come on, man. You can't say I'm wrong there. But anyways, right? Sure enough, the subscriber goes back to trying to pay attention. And that's when in the corner of his eye, he sees the wolf kid climbing out of his seat. And the subscriber's kind of thinking to himself, okay. And so the wolf kid is very slowly, to not draw attention to himself, climbing out of his seat, kind of like sliding under it, right? And now he's kind of like walking around the classroom on all fours. I think he's finally going into his true wolf self, wolf identity at this point. And the next thing the subscriber notices is a sensation of slight pain and like pressure on his leg. He looks down and the kid has bitten into his leg. So sure enough, the subscriber says something pretty loud. He's like, yo, what are you doing? And he says that like full force. And since the subscriber said this so loudly, what's it called? The teacher looks over, the kids look over, everyone looks over, and everyone just sees the wolf kid biting into the subscriber's leg. So immediately the teacher's like, what are you doing down there? And the wolf kid says, I'm sorry, my wolf instinct said I was hungry and I must eat. And the subscriber is just kind of looking at this kid like, bro, what? What did you just say? And the teacher is also looking at this kid like, what? What did you just say, dude? And yeah, so sure enough, the teacher's like, you can't be biting people in class, get up. And, the wolf kid says, I can't get up. I'm a wolf. I'm staying on all fours. And the teacher at this point is just having enough of this kid. And the teacher comes over, is like, you're coming to the front office with me. And the kid starts like running around, running with quotation marks. He is kind of running around the place on all fours, howling at the top of his lungs. And by running, I mean like speed crawling. And obviously, when you're speed crawling versus someone running, the person running is going to win. So sure enough, pretty soon the teacher gets up, catches up to the wolf kid, grabs onto him, pulls him up onto his 2 feet, and walks him to the front office. So this furry might have been bad, but at least this furry didn't try and fight the teacher like this one did. So there's a furry in the subscribers class. And once again, no one really cared. However, one day, everyone kind of knew that was what, this person did in their free time. Everyone kind of knew that, because, they would come to recess and dress up in the fursuit. And the teachers low-key didn't care. They were like, okay. I mean, whatever. It's fine. But the thing is, right, one day, they had a pretty big test, right? So they were coming into the test, and the subscriber had a class with a furry. And, they had a big test. They've been preparing for this exam for a long time. And they're walking in. And the furry walks in a full-on fursuit, right? Which the furry had never walked into class in a fursuit before. And maybe if it was a normal day of class, it would have been okay. I think the teacher could have said this is a distraction to the rest of the class. Bro, if girls aren't have to wear long pants and they can't show their shoulders because the guys are going to get distracted. Oh my God. Whenever I think of a girl, I immediately think of her shoulders, obviously. But just think of it, right? If girls can't and guys can't wear all this stuff because it would be distracting, I can understand why someone would say you also can't be wearing a full body fursuit to class. I can understand that at least. But this isn't a normal day of class. This is an exam day. So everyone walks in, and the furry kid walks in a full fursuit. And the teacher does a double take, because imagine you didn't know that this kid, wears, fursuits in his free time or whatever, and you're just looking at, the kids file into class, and you're kind of checking down names on attendance, and then this Disney animatronic cartoon type animal character walks into your class, and you just have to do a double take. So the teacher immediately is like, who is this? Who is this? Because he has no idea, right? And so sure enough, the furry guy takes off his helmet and says, oh, it's me, professor, or teacher, whatever, and puts it back on. And the teacher's like, whoa, you can't be wearing that to class. And, the furry guy's like, I think I can. I am slowly transforming into my wolf brethren, wolf self. And the teacher's like, well, you can't wear that in my class. You can do what you want out of class, but I'm sorry, you just can't be wearing that in class. There's a little bit of a dress code here, even if it's rarely followed nor enforced, but I'm pretty sure that definitely breaks it. The furry's like, no, I'm going to wear this fursuit, and there's nothing you can do about it. Which is just the wrong thing to say in this situation, because you're saying to someone with a lot of power and authority, I'm going to do this, and there's nothing you can do about it. I don't know, man. I got a feeling that they really wanted to. They could figure out something to do about it, and sure enough, the teacher did. So the teacher's like, no, I'm not going to give you this test if you're wearing the fursuit. I'm going to give you, I will give you 5 minutes that I will not take off your test time. I'll give you 5 minutes after class to keep on doing the test if you go out and you change out back into your normal clothes. And the furry kid's like, no, I'm going to be my fur self in here, and there's nothing you can do about it. And, everyone else in the class is kind of just looking around. The subscribers looking around are we going to start our test soon, bro? I'm not trying to be that guy, but, bro. And sure enough, right, the teacher's like, all right, well, I guess I'm not giving you the test. And the furry's like, you're going to regret ever saying that. and he like lifts up his two paws, not his hands, not his fists, his two paws in kind of like a boxing position. You know how boxers will lift up both their boxing gloves right up to their face. So yeah, so sure enough, that's exactly what the furry does here. And the subscriber is just looking at this whole thing goes down and watches as the teacher looks at the furry and says, "What are you planning to do?" And the furry, sure enough, charges in and says, for the wolf brotherhood," and charges in, fist first, and completely misses the teacher, slams into a desk, tumbles over, and falls on the floor, and then starts crying in front of everyone. It is the biggest disaster you've ever seen. The subscriber just doesn't know how to deal with the situation. I mean, hey man, this is not a standard thing you get yourself into, bro. That's all I'm trying to say. But sure enough, right, the subscriber is just looking at this and it's just like, bro, what? What? Yeah, and sure enough, the furry's just on the floor like, the pain that I've inflicted on myself. So yeah, basically the furry tried to like charge tackle the teacher to assert wolf dominance, and he completely missed the teacher and slammed him to a desk. The teacher's like, "Do you just want to like, do you want me to walk you to the front office, or do you want to walk to the front office by yourself?" Basically, the teacher at this point was just giving this kid an option, like, "Bro, you've embarrassed yourself enough already. I'll just let you choose." But at least, at a bare minimum, at least, this furry didn't try and eat the teacher. I swear, these stories used to make guys. Anyways, so there was a furry in the subscribers class. And once again, you know, I'm glad that everyone who submitted this story has been very fairly tolerant of, the people who dress up this way. I don't care. I know some subscribers of mine do this. I don't care. Live your life, man. I mean, that's truly how I believe, that's truly what I do believe. However, as long as you're not trying to eat me or the teacher, we're big chillin'. That's all I'm trying to say. So anyways, right, yeah, there was a furry in this kid's class. And basically, right, this all happened one day when they were, and I'm going to call this the wolf kid again, because this was specifically a kid who dressed up as a wolf and believed he was truly a wolf. And anyways, in class, it was like, I don't know, it was like 5th grade or something, and they were doing a unit on like animals and natural habitats and natural science and kind of just learning about like biospheres or whatever and like the world around you, the natural world. And they had just in this class, the teacher happened to be talking about wolves. So immediately, this kid, since he is a wolf self himself, and he is 87% a wolf, of 12%, 13% person, 100% swag, of course, right, knows everything about wolves. So the teacher starts talking, and the teacher's like, all right, well, this is the whatever, the sandy, I don't know where wolves live. Wolves live, I don't know, man. I know where they live in Minecraft, but beyond that, probably just around the place. So the teacher was talking about the natural habitat that these wolves lived in. And sure enough, right, the teacher went on to go ahead and say that, wolves live in, I don't know, open grassy plains. This is probably not true. I'm just saying something for an example. And immediately, the wolf kid's hand shot up, and the teacher turns around and is like, yes, expecting, I don't know, a question, something maybe normal. At least the teacher was not expecting what the teacher was about to hear, which was the wolf kid saying, well, actually, wolves can live indoors and live in houses and go to school as well. Which the teacher's just looking at him with this blank expression. So obviously the wolf kid is implying that, he's a wolf, therefore the habitat can also include where he lives, which is in his own house, and he goes to school. And the teacher responds, no, Jeremy, wolves do not go to school. Because he's like, bro, this kid's in 5th grade. He's got to know at least. Because I don't know, the teacher wasn't expecting the kid to identify as a wolf self, but that's beyond me. And sure enough, the teacher's like, no, wolves live in like grassy plains. I think they live somewhere else, but we're just gonna say grassy plains. No, they live in grassy plains and they do not attend school. And the wolf is like, as the wolf kid, and the wolf kid goes on to say, as a wolf myself, I would like to say that you're inaccurate with your facts. I would have thought someone who went to school like you would have known this by now. And the teacher's like, you're not a wolf, Jeremy. And Jeremy's like, what? Take that back. And the teacher's like, Jeremy, I don't have time for this. Basically, the teacher was saying, bro, we got to keep going on with the lesson. Like, the wolf section is like 3 minutes of the lesson plan. We got more time to go. I'm out of time. And the wolf kid is like, you don't understand what you've just done. You don't understand the power of the wolf brotherhood. You don't understand. And the kid literally gets up, stands on his chair, and starts howling in front of the entire class. The teacher just has this mortified look of like, this was not in the teacher manual, guys. I don't know what to do here. And everyone else in the class, including the subscriber, kind of realized at this point that this was not going to be a normal day in high school. Or middle school. I think I said 5th grade. So yeah, sure enough, the teacher's like, okay, you know what? We're just going to move on. Because at this point, the teacher's not going to argue with a kid who truly believes that he is a wolf. I mean, that kind of just sounds like a lost cause to me. And the teacher agrees. So the teacher's like, okay, now we're going to talk about, the Rocky Mountains and all the things that live there, as well as like what the pecking order for food is, and what natural growth is there, and where it's located around the world. And the wolf kid is like, no, we are not done with the discussion about my people, aka the wolves, right? He's like, you need to correct the record saying that wolves can attend elementary school and they live in houses and they love video games. And the teacher's like, no, I'm not going to say something that is blatantly not true, but I am just planning to move on. And the wolf kid is like, no, you don't understand. You don't understand what you're doing here. And, sure enough, the teacher's like, well, I think I do. And the wolf kid's like, that's it. That's enough. That's enough of this. And he gets up and he literally Sonic dashes to the front of the class and jumps on the teacher's leg and bites in. Thankfully, the kid doesn't draw any blood or anything like that, so it's not like the teacher has to be rushed to the hospital because the wolf kid decided to fight him or bite him, right? But sure enough, after the kid unclamps his jaws, he's like, that was my wolf attack, and if you want to keep slandering the wolves, you're going to get more of that. Literally, after the kid said that, he's picked up by the scruff of his collar and dragged out of the classroom by the teacher, never to be seen from again. Okay, he was seen from again, but he did get suspended. You can't be biting teachers, bro.
Click on the video on screen right now. I know you'll enjoy it. Just click it. Do it.
Today we got a story of an insane furry who tries to indoctrinate, put spells on, and then eat the subscriber. Yeah, this is probably one of the craziest stories I've told on the channel in quite a while, so sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, and let's just jump right into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Ben, because Ben is a name I've never used on the channel ever before, obviously. So anyways, Ben was new to the school. He was, he just moved neighborhoods, and he was entering the 6th grade, not knowing anybody. And the 6th grade here, everybody, and it was kind of like a local high school, so everybody in the neighborhood would have gone to school together, and everyone knew each other. So for Ben, he was pretty nervous. So he moves in, and he moves in about over the summer, so a couple months before school. And his mom one day comes down about a couple days after he's moved in, is like, "Hey Ben, I really think you should go and meet some of the other kids." And Ben's like, you're probably right. I just don't know how to do it. His mom's like, I actually think I have an idea. So Ben's mom went on the local parents' Facebook group, which she joined, and she said, hey, my son is going to 6th grade. He is new here. Would anyone like to meet my son, to have a little play date or hang out or whatever you'd say for a 6th grader? And yeah, some kids' moms actually responded. And so Ben was able to meet some people that weekend. They went to the mall together, and they seemed pretty chill. Little did Ben know that these kids had a little bit of a secret hobby. And let me just have a little disclaimer. I know that there are actually some people who are furries, I guess, who watch me, and I just want to say that I have literally nothing against you or what you do. That is totally fine. As long as you don't try and put rituals, spells, and then try and eat people, as long as you don't do that, you're cool in my book, and I just want to make that clear. Yeah, so a little did the subscriber know that these people that seem very normal and very nice were going to try to lure him into their house to perform secret furry rituals and then try and eat him when he's sleeping, bro. Yeah, so yeah, and the thing is, I just want to really emphasize that when they met at the mall, like this, Ben tells me over Instagram DMs, because that's where he submitted his story, that they seem super normal. Like they just seem like normal individuals. I mean, anyone could try and eat you with a fursuit, I guess, but like it didn't really come off as those were the type of people to do that, if you know what I mean. So Ben was really just like, at first he actually came back home from hanging out with those kids in the mall, and he went up to his mom. He's like, Mom, like the kids are so cool. I think I met some like my future friends. And, Ben's mom was obviously very excited because as a parent, you're worried that your son or daughter or whatever, like won't be able to assimilate well because, you have to drag them out of wherever they used to live and all the friends they had. And she was just very excited. And Ben's like, and they want me to come over to their house tomorrow for a sleepover. Is that okay? And Ben's mom's like, of course. Like, that's so exciting, Ben. Like, congratulations. Like, you've made some new friends. Little did they know that this was about to be one of the craziest nights of Ben's life. So let's skip ahead to the next day. So Ben decides he's going to walk over to one of these kids' house. So basically, he met 3 kids at the mall. And they were all previously friends. And they were all going to have a sleepover the next day at one of the kids' house. So I don't want to give these kids names because I'm going to completely mess them up. I'm literally just going to say Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C. And then when they reveal themselves in their furry costumes, I'll say Furry A, Furry B, and Furry C, right? Just to make it easier for me. But anyways, Kid A, right, said that he was having a sleepover and that Kid B and Kid C were invited and that, it'd be pretty cool if Ben came as well. And Ben, trying to make new friends, it was like super excited by this and was like, yeah, of course, I'll be there. So he walks over to Kid A's house. And Kid A lives about 20-minute walk, 15-minute walk. So not a crazy walk, but definitely on the further end of the neighborhood. Maybe if Ben kind of like jogged or power walked, he'd get there in like 10 minutes or something. So not too far away, but also not like next door neighbors or anything like that. Yeah, so Ben arrives and he gets to Kid A's house. And Kid A's mom greets him at the door. And it's like, oh, like, you must be Ben. Kid A was talking all about you. Kid A and Kid B and Kid C are actually all in Kid A's room right now. Feel free to go up there. I'm sure they're expecting you. Whatever, right? So Ben, super excited because he was really nervous coming in. He didn't think he was going to get the friends that he really wanted. And he got, he right away was at a sleepover with maybe a friend group, right? Already having a friend group going into 6th grade would have been super nice because, just going in, trying to meet people. There's already like pre-established friend groups and just kind of being a part of one of those will just make him feel a lot better. So he's pretty excited. However, so he goes upstairs and he kind of like walks up to the door that he assumes is Kid A's room. He hears Kid A, presumably Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C kind of talking or whatever. And he kind of just stands at the door for a second. And it's weird. He hears like rustling noises and kind of like a lot of movement or whatever, but he doesn't think anything of it. So eventually he knocks on the door and he hears like dead silence for a second. And then he hears more rustling and like almost as if someone was quickly putting something away, like quickly moving stuff around. And, Ben is feeling really weird. He's like, did I come at the wrong time? Am I walking in on something? And that's when Kid A opens the door and says, hey, like, what's good, Ben? Like, coming in, man. So Ben walks in and, he sees Kid A and Kid B. And, well, Kid A's at the door. Kid B is on, like, just sitting on Kid A's bed. And, like, Kid C is standing by the closet, which will be important later on. So just remember that. And so they're all like, hey, what's up, man? How's it going? And Ben is like immediately like, hey, how's it going? Like, thank you for inviting me over. And they're like, yeah, man, no problem. We're love to have you here. Yeah. So anyways, they decide that, or like not they decide, but Kid A says, hey, man, we're actually going out right now. We're going to go to the mall again. We're just going to walk around. Then we're going to get some dinner and then we'll head back. So they all hop into a car and Kid A's mom drives them to the mall. They're walking around and Ben's having a really good time. He's like, these are like not my forever friends maybe, but he's like, I really enjoy these people. This is going a lot better than I thought. Kind of famous last words and very ironic looking back on it because things were about to not go as good as maybe he would have thought, right? So yeah, sure enough, Ben and Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C, they're all walking around the mall and I don't know why it came up, but I think some kid had like a fur tail or something. And I think Ben made a casual joke or something like, oh, look, I think that kid's a furry or something. Haha. I don't know, right? And Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C didn't even crack a smile. They were just dead silent. And Ben was like, oh, he felt his joke not land. And he's like, oh, okay. But at that point, he just thought he like made like, I don't know, an uncomfortably unfunny joke or something, which, look, man, just because I make a joke about something doesn't mean that someone's hiding something. Sometimes it just means that, well, I was unfunny in that situation, which actually happens more often than you can imagine, unfortunately. But yeah, sure enough, he doesn't really think anything of it, but obviously within time, it'll all start to make sense. So they get back home. And basically, they're making a pit stop at the house because I think like kid B forgot something. And then they're going to go back out to dinner. And I think some of them were like, well, I'll go to the bathroom now, whatever. And so the thing is, it wasn't like hot during the day, but it was like, basically, the subscriber Ben, he wore like a sweatshirt walking over, and it turns out that it was way too warm to be wearing a sweatshirt. So he was like, hey, can I take off the sweatshirt? And Kid A's like, yeah, just go put it in my room. So Ben walks up to Kid A's room alone. And this is where things start to take a turn. So basically, Ben walks into the room and he takes off his sweatshirt, and Ben has no plans to snoop. Ben has literally no plans to like look through stuff or to go through someone's belongings. One, because he finds it as an invasion of privacy, but also two, if he was caught doing that, like, I don't know, he just knew for a fact that would be an immediate turnoff. Like that would immediately it would just make it harder to be friends, right? If he was caught breaching their privacy, literally like 2 hours into a sleepover that they very nicely invited him over to. However, the closet door was open ajar. So remember, guys, when Ben originally goes up to the room, he knocks on the door, and it's like during this pause, right? It's like a lot of movement happens or something. And a lot of stuff sounds like it's getting moved around. And remember, Kid C was standing up next to the closet as if he was guarding it or he just came from putting something into it. So the closet door was open ajar, so just open a little bit, right? And Ben just happens to catch a glimpse of something that just looks weird. It just doesn't make a lot of sense. So Ben, looks at it a little closer, and it's like a teddy bear foot. And he's like, that's a really big teddy bear foot. And I mean, he thinks what he's doing is harmless. Ben does. He's like, okay, well, maybe there's a really big teddy bear in there. Like, that's pretty funny. Like, I'm just going to look at it. So Ben approaches the closet, and since it's already open ajar, he just opens it a little bit more. And what is in front of him is 3 massive, one brown, one blue, and one red fursuits. Yeah, so Ben is like, oh, well, okay. And Ben doesn't really think anything that negative. It's not really a positive or a negative for him, but it does seem like these were hidden away, which I guess he can kind of understand because it's definitely it's not the most normal thing, and it can probably turn some people off. But Ben was like, oh, well, okay, this is kind of good to know, but also I don't really care. And in most cases, as I said, I wouldn't really care either. It's just like, as long as you don't try and put magical spells on me and then eat me in the middle of the night, then we're cool, which is what is about to happen to poor little old Ben, my friend. He's about to have a pretty bad night. So anyways, Ben closes the closet door and goes downstairs and acts like nothing happened. He doesn't care. He continues to focus on the night, have a good time at dinner, and eventually they get back. So Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C, they're having, they decide to watch a movie or something, and it's just a little weird. Ben is just noticing Kid A, Kid B, and Kid C kind of like talking to each other, but very clearly like looking at each other, kind of nodding at each other, kind of like saying small things. It's like they're talking around Ben, but Ben didn't really chalk this up to be anything. He just thought, okay, well, I am the new man in the group. They probably have a lot of things that, maybe they just don't feel comfortable sharing with me yet. Like, that's totally fine. That happens, man. So yeah, Ben doesn't really think that much of it, but the only reason I'm telling you is all this stuff in retrospect, Ben was like, oh yeah, I guess that was a little bit of a red flag. Oh yeah, I guess, whatever, right? So anyways, eventually they go upstairs. And so Ben is brought to a guest room, and he's like, because they're going to bed at this point. They're like, hey man, we got a guest room for you. You can, we're going to be kind of sleeping throughout the different rooms. Like, some of us will be on the couch. There's another guest room that Kid 2 will be in. I'll be in my bed, and you can set up shop here. We had a pretty good night, and we'll talk in the morning. So Ben is like, all right, cool, whatever. Ben goes into the guest room, brushes his teeth, whatever, gets in bed, just is on his phone for a little bit, and he just hears a little bit of movement coming from outside. It's a little weird. Yeah, but he doesn't really think much of it because he just assumes, I don't know, maybe they're just going somewhere, doing something, getting water, going to someone else's room to ask something. Like, it's not that big of a deal. I'm saying these things because in retrospect, it all leads up. But eventually, Ben is just like, all right, well, I'm going to go to bed now. So he shuts off his phone, closes his eyes, and goes to sleep. So he is awoken several hours later, and he's awoken in the most just weirdest way possible. He is currently being held down to his bed with two people or two animal type people. So two basically people in fursuits, but it's super difficult to tell right away. So Ben wakes up. He's like, oh, I would freak out too, bro. If I will go over to someone's house and then I wake up and there's two big animatronic FNAF looking people holding me down, I'd be like, oh my God, is this Five Nights at Freddy's Bonnie? No. Yeah, but he's woken up and he's like, oh my God, and they're just like, they start chanting. So there's a red one, a green one, and a blue one. So I'm just going to say red, green, and blue. So the red one and the green one are holding him down, and the blue one is like standing at the end of his bed. Legit horror scene, bro. Like, he's like, what the freak, bro? He probably has said something a little stronger than that. But yeah, and they're all chanting some like high-low, like some crazy stuff, bro. Like, so they're all just like sitting around chanting, and he's like, eventually Ben starts to like, I don't know, because when you just wake up, you're probably coming out of some sleep cycle. Maybe you're coming out of a dream. Your senses are still just coming back, right? So he was like completely freaked out and panicked. But after about like 30 seconds being held down, he started to be like, okay, I'm in my friend, quote unquote, I'm in his house. There's three people in fursuits, not big scary animals, fursuits. And my friends were hiding fursuits from me. So maybe this is like some joke or something. Yeah, but look, at the same time, if you're sitting in bed, bro, and the people that you just met hold you down and are chanting demonic rituals in big old fursuits, I wouldn't necessarily feel good. Like, yeah, it's not actual massive mythological animals that are about to eat me, but at the same time, bro, like, I don't know, I still wouldn't feel good about myself. So obviously Ben is like, hey guys, haha, is this a joke or something? And they completely ignore him to continue on with their ritual or whatever, right? So the more like Ben was like, guys, what's good? And like every single time how they wouldn't respond at all, Ben started to feel just like a little bit weird. Like he'd feel weirder and weirder every time. Cause like, I don't know, like the first time he was like, okay, this is just a prank. Maybe this is just their humor. And I don't know, we just have really different humor, like really different humor. But maybe this is just a really funny prank. Prank is the secret word of the day, so if you made it this far into the video, comment prank down below. And while you're down in the comment section, check the pinned comment as there's a link to my Spotify, which I upload these stories every single day to, so you can listen to them as a podcast on Spotify. And also a link to two other channels that I will be posting on, so subscribe to both of those. And if you're listening on Spotify, rate the podcast 5 stars. And anyways, so sure enough, Ben is just sitting there, and he's being held down by these two furry people. I think like, how hard were they actually holding him down? I don't really know. All I know is like Ben probably wasn't like struggling. Like they weren't restraining him with like actual like serial killer type things that would like actually hold him down. But it still was really weird. So that is when, it's the red and blue furry that are holding him down. But the green furry, who's standing at the end of his bed, eventually says something in English. Because they've just been chanting like really weird rituals for like the last 3 minutes. He's like, Ben. And Ben is like, yeah, dude, like what? Bro's really being held down by two furries chanting weird, I don't know, ancient texts or whatever. And eventually some guy's like, yo, like how are you supposed to respond to that, dude? So sure enough, Ben is like, hello, like, yeah. And the guy, the green furry is like, you have been chosen to join the furry brotherhood. And he's like, cool, question mark. And the kid's like, yo, like, okay, he doesn't say yo, but he's like, Like, now, like, you must choose if you either are one of us or against us. And Ben in his head is like, all right, so these guys are definitely not as chill as I first imagined. Maybe the reason why they were so inclusive is they really just wanted, like, they're not really, I don't know, the most popular group of people ever that so many people are vying to get into their friend group, bro. Maybe not every single individual is just scraping their hardest to get in, right? And maybe that's the reason why they were so, I don't know, receptive. But it was still kind of weird because they actually seemed like cool individuals at every other point besides being held down by two big sweaty furries and being chanted at 3 a.m. Like, that wasn't super chill of them, if I do say so myself. So he's like, I guess I'm not against you. So then the main green furry is like, good. Then we shall continue the ritual. And Ben's like, hey, yo, pause. And like the furries all look at him. He's like, whoa. Like, ritual, guys? Like, what? They're like, yes, the ceremonial leg eating. And he's like, yo, pause, bro. Huh? What? Yeah, so I don't know about you, but if I was being held down to a bed by two sweaty furries, right, and the third one tells me that to continue the ritual, they must do the ceremonial leg eating, huh? Yeah, so at this point, Ben is in a pretty tricky situation. It's 3 a.m, he's in a stranger's house, he's being restrained by two furries, and the third furry is standing at the end of his bed and informs him that they're about to eat one of his legs to have him join the furry cult. So this is a lot for me to handle. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a breather and pass this over to my friend Tagswag. He also makes story videos. He will be linked in the description, and he's going to tell you guys a short furry video while I take a breather, man. So yeah, take it away.
All right, so there was once a furry in a subscriber of mine's class. So this furry was in her math class. Now she goes to class, pretty normal day, as per usual. And she goes into class and she sits next to this furry. And well, how did she know this girl was a furry? Well, she was drawing furries and stuff like that. And whatever, she can do her thing. It is what it is. But then it just got insane today for whatever reason. She walked in with cat ears on and a tail.
Big old tail.
Yep. I mean, I don't know what made her do that on this very day, but she just decided to show her true self today,
Her true wolf self.
Her true wolf self. So she walked in and pretty much they were just sitting down, going through the lecture of math or whatever. And then the teacher was like, listen, I got to continue class here. So this is quite a distraction. I don't know what's going on here. Could you take off the cat ears and the tail, please? Or else I'm going to send you to the principal's office. I don't want any smoke here, but that's what I'm going to have to do.
I want no smoke.
Exactly, bro. But yeah, this girl was like, no, that violates my Second Amendment right.
Obviously, the furry amendment.
Yeah, that's the pro furry. Yeah, that's the pro furry amendment. Yeah, clearly. Yeah, she was freaking out. She was like, oh my God, this violates my rights, blah, blah, blah. You can't tell me what to do. But I mean, technically, the teacher can tell you what to do. Yeah. I mean, you're in her class. So, I mean, there's really not much you can do there. So the furry just decided to take the hit and go to the office. And on the way to the office, she was just screaming this goes against my rights. I want to be able to express myself freely at this school, blah, blah, blah.
So yeah, that furry story is a little bit lighter than the one we're about to dive back into. But make sure to subscribe to Tagswag. He makes stories too. Link in the description. And let's get back to the main furry story. So where did we leave off? Yeah, so anyways, Ben is trying to comprehend exactly what he was just told. Because remember, it's 3 a.m. He's in a stranger's house, and he's being held down against his will by two furries, one on his left and one on his right. And all of a sudden, right, he's just, he's told that, they need to eat his leg. They need to eat his foot. They need to consume his organs to have him initiated into their cult, which is just well, I knew that making friends was hard, but no one told me it was going to be literally this hard, bro. No one told me it was going to be to this extreme of difficulty, bro. Are you serious right now, bro? Yeah, so tough situation, not going to lie, a little bit of a tough situation. So Ben is thinking pretty quickly on his feet. He's like, okay, I live 20 minutes away. I live in the same neighborhood. I walked here, and thank God that Ben walked there. Because here's the thing. If Ben wanted to, and I'm not going to say if he does or not, you're going to have to listen and wait. But if Ben wanted to escape and he didn't walk there, like he had his mom walk or like drive him over or whatever, he would have had no way. Because like they were in the same neighborhood-ish, but not really. They were in the same vicinity, right? It was still a 20, 15-minute walk, right? So it's not something he could just figure out on the spot. So Ben is sitting there. He's like, okay. And he's like, I am prepared to have my foot eaten. And, the green furry is like, perfect, excellent. Like, red and green, you can stop or red and blue, you can stop restraining him. And they kind of look at the green furry like, are you sure about that? And the green furry gives the nod, the affirmation, right? And as soon as they let go, Ben is like, what? There's like, why is there another guy in here? And all three of them look to where Ben's pointing. Boom! Ben immediately jumps out. Like, he jumps out of bed and runs down the hall, slams the door behind him. Slams it super loud, because remember, this is at their parents' house, right? Or the first guy's parents' house. So he runs down the stairs, and Ben left all of his stuff, basically, because he had his phone on him. His phone was like, he, for some reason, put his phone into his pocket when he was going to sleep, which just worked out really well. But the rest of his stuff was literally downstairs. I think he left his toothbrush in the bathroom, but he's going to have to take an L on that toothbrush. It's okay, man. Yeah, but anyways, he's bolting down the stairs. He quickly picks up his bag, which is a pretty small one. He just brought a backpack with like a change of clothes or whatever. Puts that on, exits out the door. I guess it was just locked and not alarmed, so he didn't like set up the alarm or anything. And he immediately starts bolting down the direction of his house. And he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and he's running, and he looks behind him, and he sees the door open of the house, and the three furries get out. However, Ben also knows that he is comfortably ahead of them. So he's relentless in the way that he's sprinting. He doesn't let go for a second. He's sprinting, he's running, and he runs halfway to his house, and he just stops, and he's like, just to catch his breath. And he's just like, he's sitting down behind this like fence or whatever, and he's just so terrified to look behind him. So if he kind of like looks around the fence, he takes a glimpse, and sure enough, they're good. The furries are nowhere in sight. They must have not come after him. So Ben takes the rest of the trek home. It is 4:30 in the morning. It is 4 in the morning by this time. It's like dark, but you can kind of see the sun is maybe about to peek over. I don't even know. He makes it to his house, and he just sits there, and he literally falls asleep outside the house. So yeah, he was awoken at like 9 when the sun was up by the door opening and his mom being like, oh my God. So she's like, Ben, why are you here? Like, why are you, what? So yeah, Ben was like, hey mom, let's talk for a second. So Ben basically sat her down, and thankfully Ben told his mom to sit down, because she probably would have collapsed midway through this story that he was telling her. Yeah, and Ben's mom's like, well, I hope the next friends you make will be better. And Ben's like, yeah, mom, yeah, me too.
Today we got a story time of a crazy furry couple that tries to stalk and harass the subscriber, but ends up embarrassing themselves so incredibly hard on Zoom class that they completely drop out of the class. Let's get into it and call the subscriber who submitted today's story Alex. Anyway, so this happened more or less kind of recently, and so Alex's class, they went back to school. They weren't on Zoom class normally, but what would happen in about a week would there be a flu that went around, so the school just told the kids to stay home for a couple days and take class on Zoom. But before all that happened, Alex had the misfortune of crossing paths with the furry couple. The first thing I want to say is, like, I know that some people who, engage in the furry stuff watch my videos and enjoy it. I just want to let you know that I have nothing necessarily against it. You can do whatever you want to do in your free time, and genuinely, I don't really see anything wrong with it. However, if you act like these people in the video, well, then that's where we start to draw a line of that there's actually something wrong with it. So anyways, Alex was minding his business one day. This is where it all started. And he was walking down the halls of his school. And he was walking down the halls of his school when he accidentally bumps into this kid. This kid's a little bit strange. He always wears the same green hoodie. Not a Minecraft hoodie, by the way. He's not also a Minecraft kid. The last, he wears, this green hoodie. It's all, I don't know, it's always stained and smudged up. He's got this very weird odor/musk aroma that always comes off of him, and it definitely wasn't intentional. He has this very bad kind of like crappy mustache. Guys, if you're if you're just like hitting puberty, don't grow out your mustache, man. It never looks good. Even now, like I'm like 20 or something. I'm about to be 21. I can grow like a lot of facial hair. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good. Facial hair looks good, but only when it's fully formed. Anyways, this kid also had a little fur tail that he always kind of walked around in. So Alex doesn't know this kid personally, but he accidentally bumps into him in the hallway. And this kid, who we're going to call the furry boyfriend, was with the furry girlfriend. And the furry boyfriend must have thought that, like, oh my God, like, Alex bumped into me. He disrespected my honor in front of my girlfriend. I can't let this stand. So he's like, excuse me, what did you just do? So Alex is like, no, bro, sorry, like, I accidentally bumped into you, my fault. So Alex tries to do what every other normal person in the situation would do. He just tries to walk away. I mean, what's the point of actually trying to start anything with the furry guy? Like, you already know that nothing good is going to come out of this. However, the furry guy was not going to let this go. He's like, bro, excuse me, like, you can't just bump into me and disrespect my honor in front of my girlfriend and then expect to get away with such madness and treason. And Alex turns and, like, looks at him and looks at, like, the girlfriend. And she was low-key playing into this. She was enjoying this. She was kind of like, yeah, honey, go get him. Like, you're really showing him who's boss. And Alex is like, all right, bro, Alex literally walks away from this. Like, he doesn't want to engage in this anymore. So Alex gets up and walks away because, you know, he's like, you know what, man, I'm not dealing with this. Not today. So he gets up and he leaves. And so, you know, he can kind of hear, like, the furry boyfriend yelling at him, like, you can't just get up and leave. Like, you can't do that. But Alex is probably thinking to himself, yeah, and why can't I just get up and leave? Why can't I just do that? Like, dude, come on now. So, yeah, Alex doesn't think much of it. Alex kind of does genuinely think, okay, who cares, whatever. One thing that, you know, is true is Alex does have a class with the furry guy, with a furry boyfriend. However, it's a really large class. There's probably about 50 people in this class. So when I say it's a large class, I mean it's a really large class. So there's probably about 50 people in this class, and the furry boyfriend always sits in the very, very back. So while Alex was aware of him, aware of his presence, Alex never had a single conversation with this kid before. He didn't even think that the furry boyfriend knew who he was, let alone knew that they were in the same class together. However, this would be proven wrong because Alex would be stalked by the furry boyfriend in just a second. So let's skip ahead to the next day. Alex gets into school. And as he's walking into school, he's walking through the front doors. You know that feeling when you feel like someone's watching you? Most of the time, it's just, you know, your brain's playing tricks on you, or you're being really just like freaked out over nothing. But one thing I will say, and I think I say this throughout a lot of my videos, is sometimes, guys, you got to pay attention to your instincts, because sometimes your instincts really do have something like, you know, it's your body's way of kind of like thinking. It's your body's evolution through all the times where we've been in like the jungle and there's been like predators and all this kind of stuff. There's stuff that your, you know, conscious can't understand, but your subconscious understands. In this case, it might not have been a mountain lion, but Alex's subconscious was 100% right, because the furry kid was slowly stalking behind him. So anyways, the furry kid is like coming up behind him, stalking him, and Alex doesn't even really realize until it's too late. So he turns around, and the furry kid like literally takes this marker and does like a big slash on his sweatshirt. And Alex is like, dude, because it was like one of the black permanent Sharpie markers, and the furry kid is like, this is the mark of the beast. It is coming from me. I am the beast, by the way. And, you know, Alex is like, dude, what are you doing? Like, you just slashed a mark on my sweatshirt. Like, that's not cool, bro. He's like, you don't understand. It is a mark of the beast. You are officially my enemy. And Alex is like, what? Because he's kind of like forgotten at this point that he bumped into this kid and allegedly, quote unquote, disrespected his honor, or whatever this kid wants to say. So Alex is like, bro, like, can you just like leave me alone? Like, and the kid doesn't take this as like, leave me alone because you're weird. Takes this as, oh my God, oh good heavens, please leave me alone. I'm so scared of you. And the kid's like, I get it that you're afraid of the beast right now. Guys, never call yourself the beast. Unless you're literally Mr. Beast, do not call yourself the beast. Yeah, But this kid's like, you have gone against the beast, and just the mark of the beast, and the beast will be after you. And he kind of like turns around and he like shakes his butt as to like shake his tail. But his tail literally falls off when he does this, and it falls onto the ground. And Alex is like, you dropped something. He's like, oh, my tail. I mean, he literally just hisses at him. Does like a Nikocado avocado hiss, bro. He takes his tail and like runs away. So Alex at this point is like, oh my God, like, jeez. Alex has to deal with a lot of nonsense for the next like couple weeks or so. For example, the furry kid would like do nothing like too bad. Like the furry kid never like stole anything like valuable. He never like physically assaulted him or anything. There was nothing really that bad that was ever going on. However, right, the furry kid was being extremely annoying again and again. Like, this kid was actually being super annoying. He would do stuff like he would start barking at Alex as Alex was, like, walking down the school hallway. So, obviously, everyone was a little bit weirded out by this behavior. I mean, because it's weird behavior. That's why they were weirded out by this behavior, man, because it's freaking weird. But anyways, yeah, Alex would just be like, oh, my God, I have to deal with this again or whatever. And so this behavior came to a stop suddenly when a flu went around the school. So it's your very standard yearly flu, and ever since Zoom classes were introduced, some schools have been using them to their advantage. One thing that personally makes me a little bit sad is I've heard that there's actually like not going to be school day or snow days anymore because instead of coming into school, you can just go on Zoom. Yeah, so anyways, yeah, that makes me kind of sad because I feel like instead of going in like on snow days, it was always so special, at least for me, being able to wake up, look outside and see all the snow on the ground, knowing that I wouldn't be going into school. I could hang out with my friends for one day, but I feel like now they're just going to have you on Zoom, which is really sad to me, as that was a big fun part of my childhood. Anyways, though, so there was a flu going around the school, and so that Monday they were informed that for the next 2 days, they were going to go on Zoom class so that the sick kids could stay home and that the kids who didn't know that they were sick wouldn't come into school and spread it anymore. So anyways, they logged into Zoom class on that day. So little did Alex know that this Zoom class was probably going to be the most eventful Zoom class of his entire life. This Zoom class was about to be one of the cringiest, most embarrassing, most difficult Zoom classes that he's ever been a part of. This was going to be the Zoom class that the furry kid and his girlfriend, the furry girlfriend, were about to embarrass themselves so bad on Zoom class that, yeah, they were literally going to drop the class because of it, or at least the furry boyfriend. The girlfriend wasn't in the class. And because of that, the furry boyfriend will actually completely leave Alex alone because he doesn't even want to associate. He's so embarrassed. So strap in because this is pretty crazy. So yeah, let's just jump to the fateful day. Let's just jump to the fateful class that will go down in infamy forever. So anyways, everyone logs into Zoom class like normal. And I'm sure you guys can remember Zoom class or Microsoft Teams or Google Meet or whatever you guys use. Basically, you'd log in, you'd have your camera, you'd have your mic or whatever. And as soon as you logged in, 90% of people would literally just log off and turn off their mic and turn off their camera so that there wouldn't be any video footage. Video is the secret word of the day. So if you made it this far into the video, comment video down below in the comment section. And while you're down there, make sure to check out the pinned comment on this video, as there's a link to the Spotify page in which I upload all these stories as podcasts, as you can listen on there. And also a link to my second channel in which I upload stories every day like I do here, except I upload them from Reddit instead of from you guys. So make sure to subscribe to that channel too. But anyways, in this Zoom class, right, they all log in. And the teacher's like, hey guys, can you please turn on your cameras and unmute your mic for a second? So everyone turns on their cameras and unmutes their mic. Because one thing over Zoom class, I don't know if you guys had this happen, but everyone would literally just turn off their cameras and turn off their mics, and then they would just go off and literally do anything else besides class. So the teacher, at least at first, is like, guys, can you please say hello? So everybody turns off or turns on their cameras, turns on their mics, and he basically does attendance. So he's like, hey, and this takes like forever, bro. This takes like 10 minutes. Normally he does it as people come in, but I don't know why he was taking this long, but he did. Because it takes a long time to go through 50 people. Yeah, so everyone does that. And the thing is, right, that one action. The one action of telling people, hey guys, can you unmute your mics for a second? Literally doomed the furry kid. Because while the furry kid does turn off his camera, he must have just forgotten to mute his mic. So anyways, they start class. And here's the thing, everyone else's mics are muted, everyone else's cameras are off, and most people aren't paying attention. So that's when, and I think the teacher, low-key, wasn't paying attention either, because the teacher was, like, not paying, because, like, everyone else was muted, so I feel like I think what the teacher did was had their camera pointed towards, like, a whiteboard or something. So the teacher wasn't even really listening to what people were saying. They were just going through lecture, whatever. So that's when, right, Alex is just minding his own business. He's kind of just chilling. He's just kind of, like, in the Zoom class, and that's when he hears something a little bit strange. The furry kid starts talking, right? And it's very obvious that he's not asking a question. Like, I don't know, you're just like, you say something in a certain tone of voice when you ask a teacher a question versus when you're talking to someone. I feel like it's pretty obvious to tell the difference between the two. So the furry kid was very clearly not talking to the teacher, meaning that he must have been talking to someone else and not realized his mic was off. However, if he was just having a normal conversation, who would have cared? Like, everyone forgets to turn off their mics sometimes. Everyone forgets to do whatever. These things happen. However, this was very far from a normal conversation. Because the furry kid was having a conversation with the furry girlfriend, right? And it was not a normal conversation. All right, guys, I got to give you a cringe warning, so leave a like on the video or you will die of cringe. No joke. Nah, like, I'm not trolling you guys. I actually got to leave a like or you will die of cringe. If you leave a like, though, that'll actually protect you from the cringe radiation that will be coming from this video. Yeah, so basically, what ends up happening is the furry kid is like, hey, baby, yeah. And you hear on, like, the line, what's up, my sugar fox? So at this point, Alex is like, oh, God, bro. Oh, hell nah. Oh, hell nah. This, like, Vine boom thud sound effect. Like the Among Us imposter sound. Like, all this kind of stuff is going off in his head, bro. Like, it is just a bad moment to be alive for Mr. Alex. And the whole class was like, wait, yo, what just happened? The thing is, though, I think, like, the furry kid must have had his mic muted or something. Not his mic muted, but his audio really down low. So just so he wouldn't have to pay attention to the teacher and could listen to his girlfriend, right? And he's like, hey, baby. Meow. There's, like, some kind of, like, crappy cringe meow sound. And everyone's like, oh, hell nah, bro. What the, right? And then he's like, hey, do you want to rub tails later? Because remember, they got, like, some furry stuff going on. And here's the thing, bro. I don't care if you want to rub tails with your significant other. Look, I don't know what that means, bro. I don't really care. But look, you can't be, like, attacking people, saying that you're part of the furry cult and will, like, eat them or whatever this kid did to Alex, and then expect to get away with something like this. Yeah, he's basically like, yeah, do you want to rub tails later? And she's like, yeah. And then we can stroke each other's tails. I'm like, yo, what? And Alex is like, hey, this person's sus. What is going on? Someone please stop them. So obviously, right, after this conversation goes on even for a few seconds, the entire class is like, yo, someone stop them. Someone, please, God, please, no. Yeah, so I think someone, because they don't really know what to do, because no one is, like, close enough with the furry guy to, like, text him, because they don't have, so no one has his personal number, no one has him on Instagram, because he only has, like, Tumblr and Wattpad or whatever, right? So sure enough, they're just basically have no way to contact him, because they don't want to start yelling and interrupt the class, but at this point, they might as well do so. I think some people try to send him a message over on Zoom, but it's not like he's paying attention to that anyways, because he's very busy in his role play with his girlfriend on Zoom class right now. So Alex, low-key, bro, he's not going to lie. He's kind of sitting back and eating popcorn while this whole thing's going on, because he's like, you know what, man? Maybe I would have stepped in and done something, but you know what? Maybe you shouldn't have been so weird to me, too. Maybe you shouldn't have tried to make my life difficult because I bumped into you in the hallway once, and then you want to become the big man for your girlfriend, bro. I don't know. Maybe if that didn't happen, I would have been nicer. Yeah, so then the furry guy went on to say, like, oh, my kitten, do you want to hear about how I bullied Alex in class? And Alex's eyes, like, kind of perk up. He's like, oh, God. And the fur girlfriend's like, yeah, say how you dominated him again. And Alex is like, yo, 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 chill, chill, chill. So the furry guy's like, yeah, I literally clawed him. And he was like, oh, please let me go. No. And that's when Alex is like, oh, hell nah, bro. I'm not letting this slide. So Alex literally like unmutes his mic. He's like, hey, class. Interrupting everyone, right? Hey, class, that's not what happened. The furry kid came up to me, splashed some water in me, and I was like, can you go away? And then he hissed at me and ran away. That's what actually happened. So at this point, the whole class like breaks into laughter, not just because like Alex like exposed the kid, but also because Alex was like the one to break the awkward cringe silence. And then once Alex broke the awkward cringe silence, it was almost like Alex broke some dam to a massive waterway, and it all came pouring out. So yeah, everyone was hysterically laughing at this point. They just couldn't keep it in because, like, bro, I don't know about you, but I think I don't know how I'd act in this situation. But that's when the teacher's like, hey, like, what's going on over here? And the teacher comes over and, like, I guess, like, the furry kid must not have even noticed because his volume was down or whatever. And he's like, yeah. Like, tell me about your day, baby. Describe yourself. What are you wearing right now? And the whole class just keeps laughing. So the teacher's yelling like, furry kid, obviously says his real name, but we're calling him furry kid for the sake of this video. Yeah, but anyways, right, eventually the teacher is able to is able to yell loud enough that the furry kid's like, oh, what? And he like realizes that his mic's been off the whole time. So the whole class is like laughing, and the teacher's like, furry kid, you've had your mic on the whole time. Can you please turn it off or be quiet? We can hear everything that you've said. Yeah, so I don't think the teacher even realized how bad the conversation the furry kid was having. I bet he just thought that the kid was having a phone call and was like, oh, I'm going to do this kid a favor and let him know that we can all hear it. Little did he know that, you know, the phone call was not your average phone call. It was about, like, stroking each other's furry tails and, like, talking about how he dominated Alex, and then Alex came in and was like, no, you didn't, bro. So, yeah, after this, the furry kid literally just leaves the Zoom class, like, just disappears. And the teacher's like, oh, okay. I guess I'm going to have to mark this guy off for attendance then, but whatever. So he goes back to teaching. And 2 days later, or the next Zoom class, the furry kid doesn't show up. And Alex is like, well, you know, I get it. Like, you need some time to recover from such an epic self-own right there. Like, I totally don't blame this kid. I would probably do the same. Yeah, but what actually ended up happening was the furry kid didn't even come to class the next day and didn't come to class after that. So while the furry kid still attended the high school, as he can't just like drop out because he wants to, he worked with the administration saying that something happened in the class and he physically cannot return. So yeah, the kid was able to drop the class. It's actually really hard to drop classes in high school, especially once you've done them for a little bit. A lot easier in college, but yeah, the kid drops the class, and after this, he stops messing with Alex because he realizes that, you know, he just admitted something that wasn't true to the entire class, and he heard from other people that Alex, like, owned him or whatever. So, yeah, he leaves Alex alone. Alex basically never sees this kid again except once or twice, like, very far away in the lunchroom. He sees him at the back of the cafeteria. And, yeah, happily ever after, I guess. How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Today, we got a story time of a very strange furry kid in class who tries to fight the subscriber because he disrespects his wolf heritage or something. I don't even know. I honestly don't even know. This is a pretty crazy story. So sit back, relax, subscribe if you're new, leave a like on the video right now to claim your free nothing, and let's jump into it. So we're going to call the subscriber who submitted the story Aiden. And this was a very tough start for Aiden because this all happened on the very first day of school. And so first day of 6th grade, Aiden gets there and he just moved to this new location with his parents. So this was like first day of school type vibes, and yeah, it was pretty, I don't know, pretty scary. I mean, a lot of the other kids had, while this was like the start of 6th grade for them too, they kind of already knew each other, so Aiden was kind of on his best behavior, definitely looking to make the best first impression. And yeah, it's always difficult in situations like this because, like, you don't know anyone, you're going in fresh, you have no idea what's going on, right? So anyways, Aiden makes his way in, and let's just say that Aiden is about to have a very interesting with massive like quotations, a very interesting first semester or very first day to say the least. So anyways, they all get in, they all sit down, and there's like a little bit of buzz of talking, probably mostly from the kids who knew each other, being like, oh, talking about what they were doing over the summer, whatever, right? And eventually the teacher gets in and tells them to quiet down a bit and says, hey class, like, welcome, this is your first class and first day of 6th grade. We have a lot of new students here. I know a lot of you kids already know each other, but let's do some introductions for the new kids' sake. Yeah, so anyways, right, they go around, or they're told to kind of like go around the room and like say their name and a fun fact. I always kind of dislike this. I know this might be a hot take, but I always dislike the whole fun fact type thing because I don't know, if it's like actually like a fun fact, sometimes like I don't want people to know. Like, for example, I would never, ever in a million years be like, yeah, I run like a YouTube channel, I co-run another YouTube channel, I post stuff on Spotify. I would never say that's my fun, honestly, that is my fun fact. But I would never say that because then people be like, that kind of stuff, right? So what ends up happening is I just say, oh, I have a dog. Like, it's so boring and so lame, but I guess maybe that's like, I don't know, that might be a specific thing for me and not for normal people, but, oh my God, I just said normal people, bro. I mean, by that, I mean, I'm freaking weird. Anyways, yeah, so sure enough, the subscriber's thinking, okay, like, let me think of a fun fact. And he's like, all right, I'm actually pretty good at baseball. That'll be my fun fact. So goes around to Aiden, and he's like, hey, my name's Aiden. Like, I play baseball. If you guys play baseball, like, let me know. Love to talk to you about that, whatever, right? And, yeah, so eventually kind of just keeps going around the room, and then it goes around to the furry kid, right? And I just want to say right off the bat, I do not care what you like to do in your free time. So while I don't necessarily understand like dressing up like animals, also like I post YouTube videos in my free time. I don't really have a lot of room to speak. So as long as you don't act like this kid in the video, I genuinely don't care. Anyways, right, so we're going to call him Wolf Kid because you'll see in 1 second. Anyways, the kid stands up, which first of all, no one else stood up. Like everyone just took it sitting down. Bro's taking it super serious. So anyways, yeah, he's like, hello, my name is, I'll say Ben. I'm just going to call him Wolf Kid from this point on out. I want to let you guys know that my fun fact is I'm a descendant from the wolf gods. And, as he's standing up, everyone notices he has this big, like, gray furry tail attached to his pants. And, yeah, so I don't know about you, but I don't totally know how I'd react if someone says, I'm a descendant from the wolf gods. Like, I don't know about you, but I'm not going to like say anything. I'm not going to go up to them and be like, oh, what you're doing is stupid. Like, obviously, like, I have a life. I don't need to do that, right? However, I don't know, man. Like, what do you even mean I'm the descendant from, like, out of all the fun facts, remember, people were saying, I have a dog. I play baseball. I go to the same school as you, like really mundane fun facts. And then this kid comes out and says, I'm a descendant from the wolf gods. Like, what? Huh? Yeah, it's kind of a little strange. And like, I think this kid, I mean, the thing is like the subscriber Aiden says or told me that like no one else was really like seemed that shocked or confused. So probably this kid had been like, had been in the neighborhood for a while. Most of these kids had gone to school with him before, kind of stuff like that. So I bet all the people were like, oh, yep, it's Wolf God Wolf Kid again, like whatever, I guess. And, but like, yeah, Aiden was just like, dude, what? What kind of school am I going to, man? Like, he was just genuinely so confused, like, dang, bro. Where am I even going? Like, what kind of Harry Potter ass like place am I going to right now? Anyways, though, yeah, so sure enough, the subscriber's kind of confused. He's kind of like weirded out or whatever, but who cares, right? He's kind of like, well, I might not like relate to this kid on his wolf descendancy or whatever, right? But you know what? Fine. That's fine. I don't have to be friends with literally everyone. So, yeah, the next thing was after people went around and said everything about themselves, they were put into small groups. So yeah, the teacher basically said, all right, and today, like the first day of class, we're not going to do anything too difficult. It's more about just for you guys to understand the class and for you guys to get to know each other better, and for the kids who already know each other to like get to know the new kids. So he said, all right, well, we're gonna put each other into random groups. Give me a second. So the the teacher has the list of students in the class listed on his computer. So basically what he does is he just like puts all those like, he puts like a random number generator and he says, all right, well, divide, like we like take 20 integers and randomly divide them up into 5 groups or 10 groups or whatever. I don't know. You just divide them up into groups. So yeah, sure enough, each number was like associated to one of the kids on the roll call attendance. And from there, he put them into random groups. It was just so the subscriber's luck that he was put into a group with the wolf kid, right? And the subscriber wasn't like upset about this or what. He doesn't really care. He was like, he really just does not care. He might not like, I don't know, relate to the wolf kid about a lot of stuff because, well, I mean, might be a little hard. But anyways, right, he didn't think much of it. So yeah, sure enough, the wolf kid and the subscriber, they were all sitting in a group together with another kid. We're not going to give him a name. Sorry, other kid. You're just not consequential enough to the story to get a name. You're just going to be other kid for now. So they're all kind of like sitting there, and they were, instructed to. I don't even know if they're instructed to do. Well, probably just some like type of mini project, something super inconsequential, wasn't for a grade, and was really probably just like one of those like team bonding activities or just to get to know each other type activities where it's like you need to do something, but no one really cares. Like it doesn't really matter how well you do it. It's just to get to know other people. Somehow though, right? I think one of the questions for some reason must have been like favorite animal. And so the subscriber doesn't even think anything of the fact that this kid is like wolf god heritage, right? He doesn't think anything of this, right? So the subscriber is just like, I don't know. I think my favorite animal is, I think he says like, yeah, he says something like, I don't know, like the capybara things. I have like literally my entire Instagram explore page is just silly monkeys and capybara videos. I'm not going to lie. I've spent more time on Instagram because of that. My feed is great, guys. But yeah, for some reason, so the subscriber looks up and sees the wolf kid, and the wolf kid has this like shocked and appalled look on his face, right? And the subscriber is like looks at him, and they're kind of just staring at each other for a second. And the subscriber's like, "Yo, dude, you good?" And the kid's like, "Oh, well, did I hear you correct? Did I hear you correct?" And the subscriber's like, yeah, I think the capybara videos are kind of funny. Like, I think they're cute. And the wolf kid's like, whoa, dude. I'm going to give you a second to reconsider what you just said. And the subscriber's like, what? Okay. I reconsidered, and I'm still going with the capybaras. They're pretty cute. Yeah, that's my favorite animal. What's your... And the wolf kid's like, oh. The subscriber's like, dude, are you good? Are you dying? Do you need medical assistance? Like, bro, what? And yeah, so the subscriber's kind of looking at the wolf kid like, bro, I really don't need you to blow a gasket right now. That would not be super epic. And kind of just is like, what? And the wolf kid's like, you not understand how disrespectful you're being. And the subscriber's like, because like, remember, dude, like, remember, the subscriber's new. He's new to the neighborhood, new to the 6th grade class. He's not trying to cause any drama. He's not trying to cause any issues, right? He's really just, I don't know, he's just trying to make it by, right? He's trying to find some people to be friends with. School is hard. And the wolf kid's like, dude, you do not think wolves are the best animal? And, the subscriber's like, oh, I mean, it's not that deep. They're pretty cool. And the wolf kid's like, no. I know you are very scared right now because you know how disrespectful you are being, but you can't, no take backsies, bro. And the subscriber's like, okay, cool. Just like, dude, it's not that deep. And the wolf kid's like, I feel the blood and the anger of my wolf ancestors flowing through me right now. And the subscriber's like, no, dude, no, he's being weird again. Oh, God. Because the subscriber was like, all right, I know this kid has a tendency to be kind of strange. I really hope he just isn't strange with me. And yeah, he got his wish inverse granted. It was like anti-granted, bro. He got basically the complete opposite of his wish. This kid not only was not just like kind of weird to him, he was the most mega weird as possible. Like, I don't think this kid could be more weird to him at this point. Yeah, so the subscriber is kind of just looking at the kid like, oh, God. And the wolf kid is like, you have angered my ancestors. I feel it. They're coming through my blood. Their spirits are angry. And the subscriber's like, dude, it's not that deep. Like, I think wolves are cool too, bro. Like, we in second grade, man, like, we were supposed to pick, like, our favorite animal, and I picked the wolf, so, like, I do like wolves. He's like, why did you say the freaking capybaras when I asked you what your favorite animal was? And the subscriber's like, dude, I don't know, like, I guess wolves are the greatest. He's like, no, you are just scared of the wolf power going through my blood. Oh, and like the subscriber's like, no, this is the worst way my first day of school could go. Like, please. And then so the wolf kid raises his hand, and the subscriber's like, okay, what is he going to do now, bro? And the teacher's like, yes. Kind of like comes over, he's like, yes, Ben. And the wolf kid, Ben, is like, oh, teacher, Aiden over here is being disrespectful to my heritage. And the teacher's like, because the teacher's in this really awkward position where she kind of is assuming that something weird's going to come out of what this kid's going to say. But at the same time, like, this kid's actually being disrespectful to his heritage. Like, that's messed up, right? And then, so she's like, oh, what do you mean, Ben? And she's like, Ben's like, well, Aiden was like, I was like, what's your favorite animal? And he was like, capybaras. Like, what the freak? He knows that I'm descendant of wolf god, so what's going on? And the teacher's like, okay, Ben, how about we calm down? You know what? Aiden's new here. He's trying to make friends. Let's be normal, okay? The teacher's even like, bro, relax. So Aiden and the wolf kid and the third kid, right? Remember, the whole time there's been this third kid who's just been sitting there so uncomfortable, right? After the teacher leaves, they all just sit there in dead silence for like a good minute, maybe even 2 minutes, bro. Like, it's really uncomfortable, real tough. And after 2 minutes of silence, right, the wolf kid, Ben, looks over at Aiden, the subscriber, and is like, dude, you know a wolf could, like, eat a capybara in one munch. I'm just sorry. I try and hold character during these story readings, but it's like, imagine a kid comes up to you and says, dude, my wolf ancestors could eat a capybara in one punch. Like, what? What are you saying? And Aiden's like, okay. I mean, genuinely, how else are you supposed to react to that besides, okay, cool. That's nice, man. Woo! Go you! Like, dude, what? Yeah, so sure enough, the wolf kid's like, I just wanted to let you know that your stupid capybaras would be eaten up so quick by the wolves. And, Aiden's like, okay, man, okay. Okay, man. Yeah, so the wolf kid is about to do something pretty crazy, which just solidifies this as probably the worst first day of class anyone has ever had. Oh, real quick, though, if you made it this far into the video, comment wolf in the comment section down below. And if you're listening on Spotify, I think there's a comment section. I don't know what it's called, but go comment there depending on where you're listening. And also, if you're on YouTube, make sure to check the pinned comment as there's a link to the Spotify. I'm posting there a lot. I would really appreciate it if you guys are Spotify users to follow me on there. And then listen on there if you'd like to. Also, if you're a YouTube listener right now, if you want to help me out, add this video to watch later. I'm just a little theory I'm trying to test out. So if everyone adds this to your watch later, I think it might boost it a little bit. We'll see. Anyways, let's get right back to the story. So, yeah, sure enough, the wolf kid's about to do something crazy. Because they're all sitting there, and they're all kind of like huddled around the table. They're all just like around the table, right? They're all just like, I don't know. They're just all like sitting there awkwardly. And remember, this is after the wolf kid's like, bro, the wolves would, like, eat a capybara so fast, bro. It's like, dude, okay, good for you, I guess. And so then after, like, another 5 minutes of silence, the wolf kid's like, dude, I freaking hate capybaras so much. And, like, the subscriber's like, bro, okay, I'm sorry. Like, I guess wolves are my favorite. He's like, no, you're lying. He's like, okay. And so the wolf kid's like, oh, oh. He's like, bro's actually freaking out. He's like, the wolf ancestors are speaking to me. I must consume. Dude, if some like weird kid was sitting next to me who's angry at me and then screams that his wolf ancestors are telling him that he must quote unquote consume who? What, me? Yeah, actually he was saying that. So he looks over at the subscriber. He's like, you're looking tasty today. No, wolf ancestor, don't make me eat them. Ooh, you're looking so good. And the subscriber's like, oh, hell no, bro. So the subscriber is really uncomfortable because this kid is literally having a conversation with himself, like fighting off the wolf spirits, being like, I'll eat him. No, wolf ancestors, don't make me eat him. Like, bro, okay. So the subscriber is super awkwardly just like, oh my God. And he looks at the other kid who's sitting with him. The other kid's like giving him a look of like, I'd hate to be you right now, bro. I'd hate to be you. With a burning passion, I'd hate to be you right now. So yeah, sure enough, the subscriber is just very awkwardly sitting there. And the wolf kid's like, I must consume. I must avenge my ancestors. And the subscriber's like, dude, are you okay? And the kid looks at him and is like, don't look at me. I'm fighting off the demons. The subscriber's like, okay. And he just hears the wolf kid sitting there like, I hate capybaras. Yeah, so this is like, imagine, bro, just imagine for a second. This is your first day of school. This is it. This is like, welcome to the new neighborhood. These are the kids you're going to be friends with. Maybe not all of them. But yeah, these are your guys. This is your life now. This is your life. And this is your introduction. I'd be a little sad too. Yeah, but anyways, right, so sure enough, the subscriber's kind of looking at the wolf kid, and that's when the wolf kid's like, oh, I cannot, like, the wolves have taken over me. And he looks at the subscriber, and the subscriber and the wolf kid just like kind of, they just make like eye contact for like a minute. And the subscriber is just like, oh, no. And the wolf kid's like, you're too powerful. And then the wolf kid like jumps out of his chair, goes onto the ground, and is like squatting on all fours. And the subscriber's like, oh God, no. And that's when the wolf kid's like, wolf attack! And he like opens up his mouth, like unhinges his freaking jaw, and bites into the subscriber's leg. The subscriber kind of like lets out a yelp because it like kind of hurts, and he also didn't see it coming. And the teacher turns around to see the wolf kid on all fours biting and gnawing and chewing on the subscriber's leg. Yeah, I bet when this teacher went to teaching school, he was not informed that he would have to worry about, welcome to day 6 of teaching school. Today's class is how to deal with a wolf kid who's been possessed by his ancestors because a fellow classmate told him that his favorite animal was in fact not a wolf but a capybara, so he decides to try and consume his classmate by eating him from the leg up. That's normally not a class, at least an introductory teaching. Maybe an advanced teaching, you might get a class on that. But what I'm trying to say is the teacher rushes over, is like, what are you doing? And the wolf kid's like, the wolf ancestors are controlling me right now. It's not my fault. And the teacher's like, get out of here. Sends the kid off to the principal's office. I mean, kid's going to get in trouble, bro. So gets him up. And the subscriber is just sitting there. And the teacher goes over to him and is like, are you okay? And the subscriber's like, yeah. It kind of hurt a little bit, but he didn't break skin. And he was also wearing long pants, so, you could see the teeth marks on the pants, but they didn't go through to the leg, which was pretty good. However, the wolf kid had a ridiculous amount of slobber and drool, so his pants were, covered in drool and slobber. It was really disgusting. And the teacher's like, I'm so sorry. You're new here. I didn't know this kid was going to do that. This isn't a great introduction. How about I put you in this group? So he takes the subscriber and the other guy who was just standing there the whole time awkwardly and put them in a new group of guys. So the subscriber goes over, sits down with the group of guys, and the group of guys are like, bro, we should have, you're the new kid here. We should have come up to you and warned you about the wolf kid. That's not the first time he's pulled that off. They're like, we're so sorry about that. And, the subscriber and these kids, it's they start having a conversation about, the wolf kid, and they're telling him about, oh, yeah, he's done this for ages, whatever. And the conversation kind of evolves from there, and it kind of turns into, what do they do around here? what are kind of like other things he should know, because obviously the wolf kid is like one important thing to know about. Tells him basically the rules of the road around here. And what ends up happening is the subscriber, Aiden, starts hanging out with these kids outside of class, because at first they're like guiding him to make sure he doesn't have any more wolf kid incidents, but then they find out that they have a ton in common. And so that weekend, Aiden goes to try out for the local baseball team, and they're all on the baseball team. And so immediately they start seeing each other, and this happened about a year ago, and now they're super close. So yeah, Wolf Kid might have been a little weird, but at the end of the day, he set up Aiden with his best friends. So at least the story isn't all bad. If you want to support the channel, click on one of the videos on screen right now. It helps me out, and peace.